very much are pretty eroded, and it actually makes it quite fun to go through some of these little dips and gullies and things. Not that it's any serious off-roading, but it's just nice rather than just driving on nice smooth dirt roads. So that's good. Craig, you've gone very quiet now. Are you doubting yourself? Come on, talk to us, Craig. Okay, everybody say it with me now. We're gonna say, come on, Craig, on 3. Are you ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Come on, Craig. That's so funny. Everybody in FC also shouted, come on, Craig. And we have to show you what Craig looks like again in case you've forgotten. Craig, am I the only one that's got you on camera? Okay, so it seems like it's just me. That'll be maybe another challenge for the day. But I think Jamie is going to try and follow up on the royal family, if I'm not mistaken. And then Brent is walking. He was umming and ahhing between walking and the tent. And I think they've pushed for a walk, which is good. I hope he finds lots of insects this afternoon. There's been quite a few of them. Some interesting ones. Oh my gosh, leopard tortoise. Hello, leopard tortoise. Look how cool that leopard tortoise is. It's a big one. Rebecca, it cannot be Gregory's father, because this is a leopard tortoise. Gregory is a Speaks Hinge tortoise. Sorry, Rebecca's being naughty. But of course you can see this tortoise is a little bit on the nervous side. It's deciding to disappear into some grass, but I don't know why it's out on today. It's quite a very gloomy day, and it's quite chilly too. So I think it might also be looking for a bit of a spot, to head home. Maybe it's got a home somewhere here. That's not a very good spot, tortoise. I would head towards those dense thickets or even down into the drainage line. Might be very good. Right. Let's move on for our friend the tortoise. Okay, not today. Happy Sunday. Because I feel like you need to celebrate Sundays. It's a nice day. It's always a relaxing day, even out in the bush. Have I neutraled myself again? No. Down we go. Are you ready for the next one, Craig? We're going to have to go into 4x4 here. And down we go. Hold on, Craig. Woo! So exciting! We're going so fast, hey Craig? Isn't this amazing? I haven't heard from Rebecca for a while. Rebecca, what are you guys up to? Okay, bye-bye everybody.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
I personally cannot think of a better way to spend a Sunday afternoon than relaxing as contentedly as this particular leopard stretched out across the boughs of a marula. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
A very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome on another cold and cloudy sunset safari, where once again our rainy season is proving to be actually properly rainy. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon VM is on camera with me, and I feel as though I've lived up to VM's exacting standards by finding him a leopard before the drive even started. You okay with that, VM? That's not a bad way to start off an afternoon. You are watching this live from a place called Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. So right up in the top northeastern corner with 8.5 million acres of contiguous wilderness. I felt I had to throw that in since James is not here. If you would like to send through your questions or your comments, please send them through on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or email through to questions@wildearth.tv. As I said, a spectacular start to a Sunday afternoon. Karula looking thoroughly content and rather full, and I think having taken some time off from her mothering duties. I have to confess that as much as I enjoyed my time in the tent this morning, I was slightly jealous of Tristan and his marvellous leopard sighting, with the three of them all wandering around. And if you have just discovered this live stream, first of all, welcome to your new addiction. Second of all, this is Queen Karula of Djuma, and she has two just over a year-old cubs, Hosana and Xongile. I heard tell that Brent is on foot searching for the cubs to see if we can have all three on this afternoon sunset safari. I think that sounds like fun. I'm not quite sure what Taylor's doing or what her plans are. I heard a rumour that this afternoon she's going to be taking directions from Craig, who is on camera with her. So we'll see how that turns out. We might have to go and fetch Taylor from the gate in the southern Sabi Sands. Rebecca would be able to find her way, though. She's been lost there before. We're being directed by the eminently capable Rebecca, ably assisted by, I think, Megan, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm guessing Megan. Megan May Nelson is acting as a D2, and this afternoon I think this promises to be a truly astounding sunset safari. I have high hopes for it. It doesn't really get better than starting out with this iconic image of a leopard stretched out across the Marula branch, looking very full. That is quite the belly Karula is sporting, which is always lovely to see. It means that she's actually managed to have a good meal and not sacrificed it all to her two cubs. Now, you might have noticed that we are sitting under a roof, and my conscience is now panging quite painfully, because of course we've been trying to do the VR with the gentleman from the UK. Oh, hello. You know, this is the first time she stirred. She didn't even move when we drove past her. But anyway, we do have our roof on because I thought it was going to start pouring with rain. It then, of course, did not. But we'll see how the afternoon progresses. What do you think, Karula? You're awake now. Wide awake. There was an elephant here 2 seconds ago. I have utterly no idea where it went. You wouldn't think it possible to lose a large grey thing quite so quickly, but it's surprisingly easy. So that might be what attracted her attention. There might actually be a herd feeding in there, and that's what she's looking at. Perched and comfortable, and very well balanced, despite the additional weight of that belly. I noticed that with Tristan this morning, Karula has an injury underneath her eyes. Oh, Roof, you are in the way. We'll keep an eye on that and see how it's healing. I'm sure she's going to be absolutely fine. Good, just a change of position. While the Queen gets comfortable, let's go and find out from Brent how he plans to start the search for her cubs.
Well, you might hear I'm talking in quite a soft voice, and we're out in Bushwalk, but because we wanted to see if we could find a leopard on foot, we drove out, parked the car just down the road, and we hadn't been walking for 3 minutes, and we nearly stepped on Hosana, and he's just here. We'll try to get a better view of him now, hiding in a bush next to Treehouse Dam. Now, there were kudu all around, so we thought there were no leopards here, so off we marched, and we were actually stopped on the dam wall just above him, and he was lying flat in the grass watching us. And that's one way to start a bushwalk, with a leopard on foot, isn't it? Oh, Herbie's just let me know, and this is why we have Herbie with us, because out of nowhere an elephant's appeared. So we're on foot with 2 members of the Big Five, and I'm so excited I forgot to mention my name. You don't get to start a bushwalk like this every day. Now, what I think we're going to try to do is move into a position that's a bit safer. Oh, by the way, hi, my name's Brent Smith. I have the most excellent cameraman who's got a bearded Sisyphus thumb just waiting to give you a hug or a hook, I'm not sure, with those thorny branches. And his name is Brian Joubert. Together, we're the Killer Bees. And this is a killer way to start the sighting. Elephant there, leopard or elephant to the left of us, leopard to the right. So we're going to sneak over the wall and get into a position where I think we're going to be able to sit and maybe watch if that elephant moves towards where young Hosana is. Let's go. Isn't this exciting? Now, Xongile must be around here somewhere as well. Let's see where that elephant's going. I think that Ellie's on a different path now. He's seen us. And what he's doing is he's putting the water between us and him, so he can be a big deal from the other side. Brian, I actually think I recognize him. Do you think this is the one who visited us at the tent?
Oh, it might be.
Do you think he remembers my voice?
Maybe.
Doesn't want to get another talking to?
Maybe recognized you.
Yes, that's why he made us. He understands my personal space. Now, I'm just going to wait here to see where he moves before we move. So this is, I mean, it's not often you get to start a bushwalk with two members of the Big Five within the space of minutes. You can see he's quite relaxed. He's feeding away now. Remember, hashtag Safari Live or questions at wildearth.tv if you want to get hold of us. Ask us any questions. And actually, I've got a question for all of you first off. How would you feel if you were sitting, or standing, should I say, about 100 feet from an elephant bull and about 20 feet from a leopard on foot? You can just see his ear. Let's just sneak up here a little bit. Just go, where's the Ellie? Okay, he's coming a bit closer now as well. So we just want to make sure you can see. We just parked there and we literally walked 50 meters and we stumbled upon Hosana. Now, I promise you there were kudu here. We didn't spot him from the car. So we started walking down the road like this. Herb? So we're not going to go too close, but just going to show you. So you can imagine we were probably about 4 or 5 feet from him when we spotted him. And we're just trying to see the advantages of the killer bees on Bushwalk is killer height, because it's the tallest Bushwalk combo you can get. I'm just trying to see if we can see him without disturbing him. So obviously we don't want him to move. But we saw him from literally a couple of feet away. No, I don't want to. We can get a tuft, but so we don't want to scare him. So we're pretty sure it's Hosana. So you can just see the top of his head. We're now about 15 feet, and as you pan up from him, there's a big grey bottom. So there's that leopard and elephant on foot, live in Africa. So remember, how would you feel if you were this close to one of the biggest cats in Africa and the biggest land mammal in the world? Now, we're going to try and move into a spot where we're a bit further away so Hosana can be more comfortable. We might even go for a walk and see if we can find Xongile. While we do that, let's go back to the Queen Mum with Jamie.
What an exciting start to our sunset safari. Leopards on foot, leopards in trees, leopards everywhere. And I just wanted to show you something, because it's what sparked the whole conversation a few days ago about leopard heartbeats, because Liam pointed out to me that at certain close-up shots you can actually see Karula's heart beating. And you can see it there if you look at... How on earth do I describe that? Look in the middle of your screen and slightly to the right. Now she's breathing. There you go. You see that pulse happening there? It's really very cool. Roughly 100 beats per minute, I would guess. Maybe a little bit more. Leopard's heart beats quite fast, especially when you're this full. There you go. Wonderful. And we've got a lovely view of Karula's face, so we can have a look at her black eye, basically. She looks as though she's been in a little bit of a bar tussle. Not too serious. I'm sure she's going to heal up nicely, but that's a painful area to have an injury. And it's probably quite uncomfortable, and it looks as though it's seeping a little bit. I can't see if that's a tick or a little bit of pus, but it looks as if it's seeping a little bit. Shame, girl. What happened to you? She doesn't look too concerned. In fact, she couldn't look less concerned if she tried. Roxy, I have often wondered at the innate ability of a leopard to sleep in a tree without falling out of it, especially since I've personally seen my cat roll over and fall off a couch before in her sleep. So I do often wonder how leopards manage it. They can. It is just the way they do things. Often you'll see them sleep like this with their legs on either side of the branch, which helps to anchor them, and the tail does as well. But I think they've just got that instinctive sense of balance, and it's, they start sleeping in trees from when they're 2 months old. If the cubs start climbing up the trees, practicing their skills, and then dozing off in the branches. So I guess it's just something that is a combination of innate ability and learned behavior. But I do wonder that they obviously don't stir much in their sleep, because you could just imagine them stretching and rolling over and then all of a sudden finding themselves plummeting to the ground. It just doesn't happen, though. And of course, the last leopard in the world that it would happen to would be dignified Karula. There's no way on earth. We have seen leopards fall out of trees before, but that's usually when they're trying to hoist a kill, and it goes horribly, horribly wrong, at which point they look rather embarrassed. I'm thinking of you, Tingana. The dominant male leopard in this area tried to hoist a warthog, and didn't manage it. I know you wouldn't do that, my girl. Don't worry, I've seen you do it many times. Oh, shame, her eyes watering. She's crying. Crying at the thought that we could ever think something of her like that. Shame. It must be sore. Must be very uncomfortable. She's not twitching, though, as lions do when they're injured around that eye, or injured around the eye. It's just a little bit blinky. Okay, sleepyhead, we're going to sit here and enjoy Karula's company for a little longer. I wonder whether or not her son is feeling slightly more awake.
Well, we've come a bit around so we could see, and it's actually not Hosana, it's Xongile. And she's just watching us. So I think when we initially saw, we just saw some spots in the long grass, so we moved back. And I'm pretty sure it's Xongile now that I've gotten to a position where I can see her a bit better. And as you can see, she is not perturbed with our presence at all. And this is the second time I've been able to sit down with a wild leopard live in Africa, enjoy it with you guys. It is a very, very special thing, and it's not something you get to do often. Tanith in Canada says she would feel mesmerized. Well, indeed I am. Now, oh, it looks like little Xongile is going the same way as her mother, the heavy head. Now, we're definitely going to come back to her at some point, but I think we'll leave her snoozing for now and see if we can find that troublemaker that's her brother, Hosana. Now, that elephant's headed off to the south. Now, Hosana could literally be anywhere within about a 500-meter circumference from where we are at the moment. Yes, no, she's gone fast asleep now. Shame. Shame, little Xongi. Oh, she's too sweet. I know, she is definitely very fast becoming my favorite leopard. It is just, I just cannot explain to you how incredibly special this is. Now, all the textbooks will say you can't do this. You can't do this with a wild leopard. But here we are, saying you can. And of course, we've spent a lot of time with these cubs, so they've become habituated to being walked, to being tracked. But even never like this, and in all the leopards I've tracked and habituated around Africa, I've never had a leopard as relaxed as Xongile is on foot. But without further ado, Madam Taylor is out, and she's got something that we've seen Hosana, swallow before?
That's a good, description of my dwarf mongoose being swallowed by Hosana. But yes, we do. We indeed have one mongoose. The rest of the family had scuttled away. Oh, sorry, Craig, I jumped in front of your frame there for a moment. I didn't realize how low down we were. But yes, we've got one of them, and the rest of the family is somewhere here. I've started to see them. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me very quickly this afternoon is Craig. But let's have a look at that mongoose who's on the log, just over there. We've been sitting here for a couple of minutes waiting for these little creatures to come out of their hidey holes. And they're not very active today because it has been so cold and rainy. But it seems as though they're livening up a little bit because there has been a break in the weather. The clouds have lifted. It's actually warmed up and the wind is starting to get a little bit less. It's 76 degrees Fahrenheit, just in case you were wondering. So it's not too bad. Even though I've got a big jumper on, or big jersey on at the moment, I actually don't need it. I might take it off. It's getting a little bit toasty, but that's good for us, because that means that if we sit here long enough, we've already been here for about 5 minutes or so, waiting for them to come out, the rest of the family might come out too. And I thought I'd seen quite a lot of tails dashing into this fallen log. I wonder if they will come out. I'm just looking over my shoulder now, just to have a look. Nope. It doesn't seem like anybody. It seems like there's only one that is just making sure, or keeping an eye on us. Now, this is a live interactive safari, so if you'd like to, of course... Oh, have you spotted another one, Craig? Well done. There we go. They're starting to move around now. You're welcome to send any questions or comments or beautiful screenshots that you've got to us. You can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or questions@wildearth.tv is an email address that you can get hold of us. And this is a really nice spot for the dwarf mongoose to head to. They are gregarious, so they live in groups. But they've got a lot of different places that they can indeed hide in. So they've got, of course, this big fallen log. They've got a couple of guarri trees, long grass. Oh, they see they're all coming out from all the little crevices now. So that on a day like today, they'd be nice and warm. There might even be a low-lying termite mound somewhere around here. I'm seeing little feet moving. We just have to be patient. They're coming out now. Can you still see them again? They're in there somewhere. They're just on the other side. I don't want to move the vehicle around too much, otherwise we might see what Roxy's just asked us. We might see them dash away. And Roxy was asking, can a mongoose run when it is startled? Well, that's a tough one. I don't think I've ever... Oh, no, we have. We often see dwarf mongoose and squirrels at full pelt as they dash away in the open areas. I reckon they probably reach a speed of maybe 10 kilometers an hour. So, yeah, I don't know, not too fast. Maybe 15 kilometers an hour, maybe something along those lines. But it definitely wouldn't be anywhere near the speed that an elephant or any of the antelope could run at. So a little bit less, but they've now hidden away again. That's a pity. But at least we've seen them. I haven't actually seen dwarf mongoose in such a long time, so it was really nice to see them out and about. Hang on. Craig, if you go to that log that's just on the other side of the Bushman's grape. Let me see. A little bit further that way. There's, yes, that log right at the back. I did see something moving. Is there anything there? Now, this is what you can see, is how thick it is at the moment. We've been talking a lot about the greenery and the density of the bush at the moment. But just look at this. There he is. He's popped out again on the log. Other than this one that sits upon the log, which makes it easier for us to see it, the rest of them, they don't even need to move quick and hide away as much as they normally would when they're out in the open, because they've got the vegetation to do that for them. See that? Just slinking right next to the log. And they'd be quite camouflaged as they're moving around on the edge of the log too. There's lots of different types of vegetation, which is nice. So again, just helping them blend into their surroundings. Okay, I think let's carry on now. Remember, our plan from the pre-drive was that we were planning on heading towards Cheetah Plains. We definitely want to find Kuchava. I haven't seen Kuchava. Thank you for answering the question. It's not a problem. Any time you can tell me of the speed of a mongoose, initial speed is. I don't think check will put.
Well, welcome back. It seems like Taylor's in a bit of a bad signal area. Well, there we go. That's Hosana, Mr. Fat Toes. He's got a massive track for a little leopard. I mean, look at the size of that. That's bigger than his mom's. So we've come up to the area where they were. So now we know Hosana has also moved down. And so we now know where to start looking. So we're going to start heading in the opposite direction again. So we saw Xongile's tracks a couple of seconds ago. And we all know Hosana loves a good tree. But even more than that, he loves a good thicket that he can roll around and flatten all the grass. So we're going to have to look quite carefully. So there's Hosana's track. I think, if I had to think like Hosana, I'd go this way. Yeah, I heard that elephant. That elephant bull's still around here as well. So there's some termite mounds around here. All good spots. So Tristan's in final control. That one. Tristan's in final control. He says this is the tree that they were in this morning. That exact tree. So he's around here somewhere. So Hannah says, can you tell the difference between Karula, Xongile and Hosana's tracks already? Quite easily. Hosana is much bigger than his mom's. And Xongile is much smaller. Karula's in the middle now. Now, you can see I'm walking very, very slowly. So in these circumstances, often you will see a leopard literally at sort of the edge of my stick. Now, the trick is, with leopard tracking normally, is what one must do, is you must see the leopard. It's always a good start. But as you see it, you go, ooh, and you pretend you haven't seen it, and you wander away. Because they rely so heavily on camouflage, if you start staring at the spot like that, they'll sometimes become aggressive, and especially if you spot them at a very close distance. So even a youngster like Hosana might get a little snarly from sort of under 5 meters, but this is how you find leopards in the Sabi Sands. There's no collars, there's no telemetry, it's good old-fashioned tracking, and I nearly said a bad word, it's very good fun. I was going to use an old English adage. Lenny is asking, what is the risk of a leopard attacking you on foot? Lenny, there's always a risk, but it is quite minimal. And as I say, leopard relies on camouflage. So if you spot them and you sort of just walk past, they think, yeah, got them, couldn't see me. But of course, if you keep staring at it, or you keep consistently walking and pushing an animal that's not comfortable, it can be very risky. Now, we don't really fall within the leopard's normal sphere of prey, especially not the killer bees. At 6'4", we're quite safe. But, and also during the daytime, man's the dominant diurnal predator. So there's a very good chance that they will just run away. So we're going to keep checking very carefully. I said we've got to go quite slowly because Hosana literally just could be lying under a little bush right next to us. So we're going to continue very, very slowly, but it seems like Madam McCurdy has found a very smelly antelope.
They are indeed smelly, but luckily we are upwind of the waterback, and we are looking at a very pregnant female. Can you see that? She's got a very big bulging belly, and I don't think that grass that she's been eating on this summer. I think that there is a little calf inside of her, which is exciting. and the
So we're still stalking through the grass. We do apologize that Taylor has disappeared again. Now we've checked all the prominent marulas and prominent termite mounds. So we're going to head back towards where we left Xongile and going to check in the little ravine below. Now we've already run into a bit of a snafu, as in, I don't know if Brian did, but I definitely walked through a massive pepper tick nest. So I'm going to try to get to the road and get some of them off. I'll show you the age-old method of removing pepper. Oh no, there's a better one. And now I'm walking a bit quicker because I'm trying to get these ticks off my legs before they latch onto me. So we know where Xongile is. It's a very big chance. Sorry I'm walking so fast, but I don't want to be devoured. There we go, that's what we want. That is exactly what we want. A weeping wattle. Oh, sorry Brian. I'll break you a branch as well. There's another good branch. Oh, these young ones will do well. Okay. Let's go. Now this is the stuff we normally do when we're off air, so you don't see how silly we look. Now we just want to check for Hosana's tracks on the road here as well. I'm just going to catch up with Herbie. And also don't want to beat and make too many sudden movements when Xongile is quite close, because she's still just off to the left of us. So Jennifer's saying, do the pepper ticks actually have a nest? Well, Jennifer, it's where they're born, so they're actually just baby bigger ticks, and there can be thousands upon thousands of them. So I'm just going to move past where Xongile is so she can't see us, so we're behind the damn wall. Okay, now here comes the fun part. I think I'd have to, I don't know if you're going to be able to. Let's see if we can spot one. That's why they're called pepper ticks. They are the size of a grain of pepper. Ah, die! Okay, so generally you can't get them all individually, so it is quite painful, but it's better than being eaten alive. Oh. Okay. Beating the pepper ticks. Let's have a look. How did we do? Well, there were hundreds a few seconds ago. Now, just a biting fly. You can also get swatted. There we go. Okay, Brian, do you want a beating?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the only time you get to beat your friends. They actually ask you to beat the legs, get the pepper ticks. They're already biting, Brian.
Oh.
No, this is the only time you get to beat your friends. All of your shorts. Oh, Jill. I think Brian got more than me.
Yeah.
But while we beat each other, let's go across to Taylor, who's got something even taller than Brian and I.
We've got a big giraffe. We've actually got a couple of giraffe. I'm going to just duck over here, scattered all over Gari, Maine, which is wonderful. And I hope that they decide to stick around. It seems like it's a group of ladies. from what I can spot at the moment. We'll have to take another look though, and I wonder if there are any more that are perhaps lurking in the far distance, hiding behind some of these acacia trees. And there's lots of bush willows and marulas around here. But she is lovely, isn't she? I think today is going to be a good day. I must tell you, I wasn't very optimistic in the beginning when we started going out, because the wind was howling and it was really not pleasant. But then we got a couple of sun rays, and it's proving to be quite fantastic, because we've had, well, we very briefly had waterbuck, and then we've also had this beautiful giraffe, and I suspect we're going to have a lot more animals this afternoon. But isn't that lovely? There's another one just through here, which is feeding on a marula tree. And, well, normally marula trees are nice and tall. Sometimes the branches can actually be quite difficult for even the giraffe to feed on. But this one's growing slanted, and it's also got lots of small branches coming out of the sides. I think an elephant must have had a push up against that one. Maybe it tried to push that tree down. And she's loving it. She's going, this is fantastic. Thank you, elephants. And look how she's actually having to use her tongue. See, normally what we see is the giraffe very delicately pulling the leaves off with just their lips. But now when the branches are so high up like this, they really have to tilt their noses towards the sky and then poke those very long tongues out. Look how cool that is. Now they've got exceptionally long tongues, as you can see there, though she's not really showing, well, all of what she's got hidden away. But it's about 40 centimeters, so that's about a ruler and a third, which is quite cool. Imagine having a long tongue like that. I think children would like to have a long tongue like that. Hello, girl. Oh, wow! We got the third one. Look at this one. It's come and stood right next to us. It's probably about 20 feet away from us. This is amazing. We're covered in all the oxpeckers. Now, trying to see if this is a girl or a boy. It also looks like another girl. So we've just got another vehicle coming past. I think they're going to try and squeeze past us. Craig, I think what we should do is let's oh no, they're very kindly, they're going to go all the way around. Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. That was really nice. So I'll get to your question now. Sorry, that was so kind of these guys. They pulled right off the road from us, then they went all the way around as to not disturb this giraffe sighting. Thank you so much, Chitwa Rangers. Very cool. I think that this is wonderful. And they just seem to Sorry, Rebecca, I know you've told me this question now, you're about to tell me for the third time, but I can't remember it. I keep getting too distracted this afternoon. Ariel, you were wondering if giraffe were in the horse family. I suppose if you look at a giraffe, they sort of kind of look like, I suppose, a camel with a long neck and all sorts of things, and there's quite a few names given to giraffe. One of my favorite ones that people will say is they describe them as the tall horse, which I think is pretty cool, but unfortunately not, Oriel. They are not related to horses. Giraffe don't really have too many relatives, other than one, which is known as an okapi. Did I say that correctly? Yes, okapi. And you see them in the Congo. That's an animal that I'd love to see. But other than that, and I'm sorry, I don't have a picture to show you, but we can always try and search one on the interweb. We might get lucky. But they're really cool too. They've got long necks, but not quite as long as the giraffe. They also look like they've got a bit of zebra in them. They're a really interesting creature. But look at all the oxpeckers. You can see that there's a juvenile oxpecker right in the middle. The one that hasn't, you can't really see the red beak and the yellow eyes, so it's just sitting on the top left shoulder of that giraffe. So that's a little one, and that's probably feeding with its parents, still learning as to what it needs to do when on an animal. And look at that incredible scissoring motion. It actually reminds me of a sewing machine. I think the way that they, obviously they're not sewing, they're just sort of scissoring through the hair as a hairdresser would do if she was cutting layers. And they're just filing through, getting the ticks that are all covered in Brent at the moment. Actually, Brent needs an oxpecker. They would help him out quite a bit, actually. It would be quite interesting to have an oxpecker jumping around on you, though. But that's exactly what they're feeding on. Is those smaller, little ticks. And then the yellow-billed oxpeckers, which are the rarer ones, we don't see them very often, but you can see them every now and then. They eat the bigger, sort of the ticks that looked all engorged. They will feast upon those. Those are delicious for them. Well, I suppose as tasty as a tick may seem, I don't think that they're too tasty. Look at them. There's actually even a little giraffe. Craig, did you see the small one that's just jumped out there on the right? Okay, there's a youngster. It's probably, I would say, maybe about a year old, maybe even a year and a half, pushing 2, somewhere around there. It's actually not too young at all, but it's quite deceiving with the way that its legs are hidden in the long grass. Now, Marcy, you were wondering, how do you sex a giraffe? It can be quite difficult, especially if you can just see the tops of their heads, like we can in this case. Then it's a bit tricky. And when they're young, it can also be a bit daunting and trying to take a guess, because you really are taking a bit of a gamble. But with a female, she's got long, sort of slender ossicones. Those are those little things protruding from the top of her head. And then they have the black tufts of hair on. And then the boys normally have much thicker, sort of shorter, more stubby ossicones, and they've got a bald patch on the top of their heads. So that's an easy way, but when they're young like that, then you sort of need to look for the bits and pieces that make a boy and a girl a girl. Have a look for those. It'll be a little lump underneath the stomach, and that means it's a boy when they're that age. But as they get older, like this is an adult cow, this is a big girl, so you can see how long and slender they are. But we'll see, there's not many males here. I haven't seen one yet. There might be a big bull in the distance somewhere, so we'll keep an eye out for him. But I'm just so thankful that these giraffes are so relaxed. Look at that. There's lots of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I counted 4 or 5 that are hanging around here. Well, I suppose we should use the correct term for a group of giraffe. And Amanda, you were wondering exactly that. It is either a journey or a tower. So I would use a tower right now because they're very much standing still. They're not moving about too much. And if they were walking across a big open plain with an escarpment in the background, then I think a journey is a great way to describe a group of giraffe. But very vigilant, always looking about. They've got exceptional eyesight. And their behavior is actually quite interesting. And we often talk about the matriarchal system that you see with hyenas as well as elephants. And, well, I've forgotten. Oh, Rebecca, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my brain today. It's broken. Deborah, you, now, as I was saying, the matriarchy between elephants and, of course, the hyenas. Giraffe is completely different. This is not the case. They sort of have something called temporary association. And Deborah, you've asked just that. So what that means, Deborah, is it's basically the giraffe come and go as they please. They really only have a bond with the calf. This is the mothers, and that's it. They might greet each other and they'll join up, but there's no sort of permanent things saying that they have to stay in the herd together. So one day you may see a group of them together, and the next day they might split off and become individuals. You see that a lot with the males. The males tend to go off on their own, and then sometimes you'll see one big cow with a group of youngsters, and they're not all of hers. They have creches, so I suppose they're definitely gregarious in some sport, but they don't stay like that all the time. So often one female will take all the youngsters and go and sit in a thicker area, and they will sort of look after them like a play school. Now there's perfect timing, Rebecca, because there's a vehicle that's just actually pulled up behind us. I'm going to have to shuffle out of the way from them. We can't hog the whole main road. And just as these giraffe are walking down the road, we've got somebody else who could almost challenge a giraffe because of his height. So let's go across to Brent.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Taylor. I think a giraffe's got a few meters on me. I think they have 14 to 16 foot. So more than double. So Brian and I are checking this little river system now. We've been a bit nervous after our tick attack, so we decided to check the road. Well, it is also a method to our madness. It's the best place to see tracks. And just checking all the big termite mounds. Let's have a look from a little bit further ahead. Now, his last tracks were heading this way, but there's no tracks of him coming out near where his sister is. I wonder what mischief he's up to. He's definitely not murdering terrapins. Maybe he's practicing stalking kudu. Now, remember, hashtag Safari Live or questions@wildearth.tv if you have any questions for us. Ooh, that looks like a good Hosana hidey hole. Now, for those of you who might have joined, you'll occasionally see Herbie behind me. He's our security detail, so while I'm presenting and concentrating on speaking, Herbie makes sure I don't bumble into a buffalo. Now, this is the type of area that Hosana seems to like. These lovely peltiforums. It's the same tree we used to beat our legs with, but this one you can see it's been pushed over by elephants. There's some nice cover underneath, and it's a really good spot. Lions and leopards always alike. I'm sorry, I was just giving Herbie the thumbs up. He's telling me he's going to do a loop that way. Make sure Hosana is not that side. Hi, Carolina. Carolina's asking about the ticks that attacked us and whether they carry any diseases. They do, Carolina. They carry a disease called tick bite fever, or rickettsia, and you can get immune to it. So the more times you get bitten, the more times you have it, the less reaction you have. I had tick bite fever last year, so I'm unlikely to get it this year. Now, the different strains of tick bite fever differ. So if, for example, we're in the Mara, it's likely it's going to be a different strain of rickettsia. So you do need to get it and sort of get on with it and get it out of your system. Makes you feverish, nauseous. It's not very pleasant, but it doesn't last more than sort of 2 or 3 days. Now, Hosana, Hosana, Hosana. Where are you hiding? Herbie's just gone on a big loop. We're just going to check down to where the next road junction is. We can hear rattling testiculars. Tree, tree, tree. Now, they don't call like that when Hosana's around. They'll be giving a different call. More psh, 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 psh. Where are they? Ah, you spot it there. Right on the top of that bush. Oh, it's difficult against the marula. Oh, there's one down a little bit more in the open off to the right. You got him. There we go. A rattling testicular. Making lots of noise. Now, I had a tracker who I worked with for quite a long time, and he unfortunately passed away last year, but he was an incredible man. And I'll never forget, and obviously we speak a lot about bird calls, so 3 blind mice is the chin spot batters. And orange-breasted bushwalk. Coffee, tea or me? I'm a terrible whistler, by the way. And Simon says, but do you know what the rattling testicular says? I said, Si, I have no idea. He goes, kiss, kiss, run away. Kiss, kiss, run away. Like I do to all the ladies. Oh, 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 oh. Now, he was about 60 when I started working with him. And a massive man. About 120 kilograms. So that's 255, 260 pounds. But an incredible tracker. And he always also used to say, you never trust a skinny tracker because they've got to walk too far to find the animal. He finds them fast, so he's a good tracker because he's fat. He's an incredible man with an amazing sense of humor. Mr. Matabula. I still think my favorite trick of his is you sit on the tracker seat and you drive out, stop for leopard or lion tracks. And it used to be quite that, oh, you get off the chair. And he would walk with his hands crossed behind his back like this. And of course all the people on the car behind him. And then he would just turn around towards them and go, hey, don't check me. I'm not your TV. So he had lots of jokes. We had some scary times together. Now, the closest I've ever been to a fully grown adult male leopard that's not asleep under a tranquilizer was with Simon. We were tracking a mating pair of leopards in the Sand River, and their tracks had gone all over the place, and there are these big sort of sandbanks that have got Phragmites reeds on top, and Simon was going, no, these tracks are old, from this morning. And I was like, Si, I've got good tracks, fresh tracks. So I'm looking like this and I'm walking and watching the tracks, and Simon just says, "Here, Mumful," which means stop. And I go, "What?" And I look up, and literally about this far away from me and exactly eye level with me, ears flat in the reeds, is one of the biggest male leopards that's ever been known, the Camp Pan male. And I sort of staring, and I don't stare. And he's like, slowly, and literally, I think that turn must have taken me about half a minute, and the first step was the next minute. But now, speaking of something that goes a bit faster, that's obviously Taylor. Let's see what she's got.
We have got an African wattle tree at the moment. We did very quickly have a fork-tailed drongo. Sneaky bird, but it has flown away. That's all right. I was just hoping to show you a little something before we ventured on to our favorite warthog burrow to see if our friend, the old man, the warthog, is still lying about keeping nice and warm. But that's where we're going at the moment. We might see another drongo. There are lots of them around here, and I think that's because there are lots of grasshoppers at the moment jumping out of the grass. I've just seen a couple shooting up, so I think that's why they're hanging around over here, trying to catch all those juicy grasshoppers. Which, let's be honest, for when you've got the skills of a drongo, I mean, they're acrobats of the sky, they're incredible the way that they move. I don't think that catching a grasshopper would be too much of a challenge. I think that they are nimble enough to swoop down. It's like the rollers as well. They make it look so easy. Okay, now I suppose we've got to sneak here. Let's sneak. So Rebecca in Final Control has asked a question, and her question is, what bird would I be? Craig, I'm also passing this question on to you. So what bird would you be? So think about it. I think I would like to be a black-shouldered kite. That's what I would like to be. Oh, no, fly, get out of my eye. Oh, no. There's the warthog burrow. So I'll tell you why I want to be a black-shouldered kite in a moment. But it doesn't look like anybody is home. That entrance does look quite churned up, though. But I think that's from the warthog. Maybe we can see a footprint. It's a bit difficult to see a footprint. Yes, there's a couple of square tracks right in the middle of your screen, so I think it was the warthog that was going in and out over here. Maybe he'll be back later. Just a moment ago I'd said that the wind was dying down, and of course the weather obviously understood me, and now it's picked up again and is rustling all of these leaves. That's a pity. Okay, no luck here then, but that's okay. We'll get him next time. The reason I would like to be a black-shouldered kite is because they're one of the only birds in southern Africa that can hover without the aid of the wind. So what happens is you'll often get the big eagles, you'll see them hovering, but they're using the wind to help themselves, whereas what are they called again? Pied kingfishers, because I haven't seen a pied kingfisher in ages. They can do it, and then so can the black-shouldered kites. I think that's a pretty amazing little adaptation to have there. And then also they're pretty amazing in terms of what they can catch. So I saw one. Who are you? Who is flying here? Buffalo weavers and magpie shrikes. Look at the juvenile magpie shrikes while I tell you about why I want to be. That's cool. You see that little knobthorn, Craig? There's two birds. There's a juvenile magpie shrike, and the hornbill just chased it looked like a buffalo weaver away, the red-billed hornbill. That's naughty. So the three of them are quite happily sitting in the thorny tree. Here they are. And that's a brave tree to even sit in, because you can see they've got lots and lots of little thorns all over the tree. You also look like a little one. I don't know, I don't think that this is an adult red-billed buffalo weaver. I think that this looks like a juvenile too. It's a bit clumsy at times. And its breast is also quite mottled. I don't think I've really ever noticed that too much in the adults. I could also be mistaken. This could be something that I've just realized. This happens a lot to us as guides. I don't know, it just looks very young to me. But I don't know why they're in there. Your feet must get sore every now and then if you don't hold on correctly. The thorns are very, very sharp. And I'll get back to the black-shouldered kite in a moment, once these three decide to fly off, though it seems as though our magpie shrike has flown to another branch. But this is definitely not a juvenile red-billed red-billed hornbill that's just now flown away. That looked like an adult. But let's have a look. I just love these little magpie shrikes, the ones that are just to the left of that one, Craig, where the pile of trees are. There we go. Look how short its tail is. And you can hear them all shouting about too. And that's funny. I'm surprised this one isn't chattering quite a bit. Because normally they'll chatter when they're sort of begging for food. And there was a juvenile virtual starling in camp today, following mom or dad around, begging for food, making a huge noise. But this magpie shrike's obviously getting old enough now that it's quite happy to forage on its own. Because I haven't seen any adults yet. There were just two juveniles with these shorter, stumpy tails. Yeah, it's talking now. I can definitely hear the other one, I just haven't spotted it again. Here we go, it's responding. Just looking behind me. Oh, it's very far away. I actually saw it, but it's not the greatest view. I can just see its tail dangling out of the tree. So we'll stay with this one. But they both look like youngsters and no adults around. Oh, little ones, I'm sure you're big enough though and strong enough to be able, of course, to manage on finding food for themselves. They'll get there. Like I said, there's lots of grasshoppers and things around, so it's not too much of a problem. Now, I am going to show you a picture of I'll do it in a moment. I'm very quickly just trying to open up this app. Right. Here we go. Let's go. Black-shouldered kite. I'm going to find a photo. Let's go to kite. See, I took my book out and I've taken it out again and I haven't put my bird back in. Ah, perfect, right there. That's just what we needed. Okay, I'm going to flip it. There we go. That's what a black-shouldered kite looks like. Beautiful bright red eye, the yellow feet, and then you can see the lovely black patches. Now, if you were going to be, well, technically correct, it's not really on its shoulder. Its shoulder's inside the bird, so you can't really see it, and I think that's why they want to change the name, or they have. I think they've already started the process of changing the name of the black-shouldered kite to the black-winged kite, which is quite interesting. And it's not because anybody's trying to sell more books. It's one of those things. They're just trying to keep all the bird names in a row all over the world, so you don't talk about one bird, a common name, and then there's the same common name for another bird that's a completely different species elsewhere. So they're trying to avoid that and change things like that. So I just think they're incredible raptors. Like I said, I saw one in Kruger. It caught a red-eyed dove, which was pretty impressive. But red-eyed doves are quite big. They are quite large indeed, so that's why I think I'd like to be a black-shouldered kite. We're going to start missioning towards Cheat Plains, which is a little bit of a distance away, but let's go take another look at the Queen herself.
That sounds like fun, a trip to the east. And sorry about the extended disappearance, everybody. We were just getting rid of our roof, which we have now done. And of course, it's now going to rain on us, just because. But we've got rid of our impediment, and we now have a clear and unimpeded view of the Queen. It is in fact impeded by the long grass. I like Taylor's game of what birds we would all be. I don't know if she came up with any other ones. I said VM was a shoebill, but I don't know why I said that or where that came from. It just kind of popped into my head. If Karula were a bird, she'd be a peregrine falcon. That doesn't make any sense. James would be a drongo, definitely. Fork-tailed drongo. Brent? I'm not sure. It's a tricky one. Steph would be a battalier, I feel. Oh, flies biting her ears. What would Brian be? Shoebill.
There's a saddlebull.
Saddlebull. One of the tall birds, definitely. What would I be, Rebecca asks. I don't know, Rebecca. Maybe a marabou.
Rebecca is emerald spotted wood dove.
Oh, that's lovely. VM says that you would be an emerald spotted wood dove, Rebecca. I love those birds. I think that's a lovely thought. We are just making idle conversation, of course, because the cat is fast asleep. Kirsty would be a hoopoe. She's ginger enough on top. Craig says he wants to be a budgie. Are we going with what people want or what people would be? I definitely think Steph would be a bird of prey. No, Craig's definitely not a budgie. Craig's Batman. He can't be a bird, he's got to be a bat. This is a very strange conversation that Taylor's taken us down. No surprises there, though. She does have the most fantastic imagination of anyone I've ever met. Except possibly Liam. Yeah, James definitely fork-tailed drongo. Small, intelligent, occasionally known to mob things slightly larger than himself. She's batting away at the flies. They're bothering her eye. I hope James didn't hear that, Rebecca. I hope the exact opposite. I actually meant it in a nice way. I really didn't mean it in a mean way. Marvin, you say that Brent would be an ostrich. I've just got this sudden image of the mating display that ostriches do with their wings out and running around. You say, VM says a hardy-dar, Brent would be a hardy-dar. He's certainly loud enough at times. It's hilarious. Oh goodness, what a strange route to have travelled down. What do you think of us, Karula? What must you think? If you only knew the nonsense we talked. You probably do, you've had a few years of it. Now, the flies are definitely bothering her injury more than they might otherwise. But I had a close look at it. It's not too serious. It's not too deep. It'll heal up nicely. It must just be very uncomfortable. She's also got a slight limp. It was barely discernible, but there was just a stiffness to the way that she was walking that isn't usually there with Karula. So I don't know what it was exactly that happened, but she's probably feeling a little bit the worse for the wear. Luckily for us, and luckily for them as well, animals have the most extraordinary immune systems. So I have no doubt that she will be healing up very well, very quickly. Okay, well, since we've got a puddle of spots in the grass and Karula seems to be relaxing, let's go and find out whether her daughter has any plans for the afternoon.
Well, we've done a big search. We haven't had any luck with Hosana, so we decided to play a bit of the patience game, because there's a good chance he's going to get bored and maybe come looking for Xongile, who's still napping, and I can't resist sitting with the leopard. It's just so incredible. And hello, Sophia, who's 8 years old. Sophia would like to know how many hours a day does a leopard sleep? Well, Sophia, 16 to 18 hours on average. So they really like their nap time. Now, the reason for this is because they get very hot. They can't move around too much, otherwise they get too hot to move. So what they do is they snooze till it gets cool. Obviously, on a day like today, it's quite cool, so they could probably move around. But because they're so used to snoozing, they're going to snooze, like her mom and what little Xongile is doing at the moment, having a good snooze. Now, she's so well camouflaged there. Now, some of you might be a bit worried that I'm sitting so close to the water's edge, and of course there could be Boris the Blade about, but don't worry, Herbie and I have checked the whole perimeter. There are no crocodile tracks here, or no sign of where a crocodile's been sleeping. Now, Xongile keeps every now and then looking slightly more to the west, and I wonder if that's where Hosana is. And we were in that area. It's where we got mauled by the pepper ticks. So I'm sure he's close by. Lauren, how are you doing, Lauren? Lauren would like to know, how does Karula tell the cubs to stay and not go? Well, I suppose if we had to translate it into human terms with a very stern word, it's a hiss and a growl will let them know that they need to stay put and they shouldn't be meandering about. Oh, Shongi's going to sleep again. Just also remember, this is abnormal that you're able to do this with leopards on foot, and that's why I take such great pleasure in it. And also, I wouldn't recommend anyone who is not very experienced in the bush doing this. And of course, even though she is snoozing and stuff, if she started to show any sign of being uncomfortable with our presence, if she started trying to hide and flatten herself into the ground, and she looked like she was either nervous, scared, or angry, we would immediately completely move out of the area. Now, Herbie and I were chatting as we were looking for Hosana and making our way back towards Xongile, about how positive this is for the future. So quite often you can have very relaxed leopard cubs, and as soon as they become independent from their mothers, they can get a little bit jumpy again. But Herbie and I both feel that Xongile, that she's showing this level of comfort with being tracked on foot. And normally tracking on foot is one person. And I mean, remember, we've 3 people here. There's Brian, and he's got a big aerial sticking out of his back, and Herbie and myself. And she's showing this level of comfort, which means she's going to be an incredibly relaxed adult, which is always great news. And that's how the Sabi Sands has got its reputation for leopards, is that over the years that people have worked really hard, spent a lot of time on foot and vehicles with leopards, and the legacy is still today. And I mean, the real habituation process with leopards started in the 70s. Before, if you saw a leopard, you were lucky. And then people started putting serious effort into tracking them and finding them and sticking with them. And it's not easy. I mean, leopard viewing in the Sabi Sands looks easy now, but it's a good 45 years of work that's gone into it. So I've had the fortunate experience of being in sort of lots of different places in Africa, in areas where the animals aren't habituated, and it takes an incredible amount of time. I mean, even a lion, which you wouldn't think so, but a lion pride that's not used to people, never seen vehicles and stuff, takes a good 6 to 7 months to habituate. And then even still, and not like the Inkahumas, you've still got to park sort of 20-30 meters away, otherwise they start getting nervous. Leopard can generally take years unless you've got some luck, and the luck of the draw is you need to be very lucky, and one of the females you find needs to have very young cubs, because then you habituate the cubs. They don't have sort of that adult nervousness that animals have yet, and if you habituate the cubs, they will habituate their mother. Now, habituating adult male leopards that are nervous is probably the most difficult, and it can take 3-4 years to habituate an adult male that's not used to people yet. But with Xongile and Hosana, I mean, look at this. I mean, Hosana's a little bit more nervous on foot. We've seen that before. When he was in the tree, he shows signs, so you immediately move out when you find Hosana on foot. But I mean, the last 2 times that I've spent on foot with Xongile, last time she was up in a tree, and I was actually ended up much closer than I am now to her, and that was incredible. That was amazing. But enough of my nattering on about the habituation of leopards. If you have any questions, #Safari Live, questions at wildearth.tv about the habituation of leopards. But let's go to a fully habituated adult female, Karula.
Luckily for us, Karula is indeed fully habituated and entirely comfortable with our presence. A little bit earlier on, she basically nearly rubbed up against the side of the vehicle on her way past, so she definitely doesn't mind us being here. I wonder in that situation with Brent if perhaps the observer is not being observed by young Hosana. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, Reese, you want to know, here's the $1 million question. Reese, shall we try and reposition while we do this? Because at the moment, we've got white belly and spots. I love Karula, but we could maybe do better. You wanted to know whether or not leopards can recognize or are capable of recognizing individual people. Yes, I believe they are. I think that if you spend enough time with them, like any animal, I think that they would come to recognize individual guides. Would they respond differently to us, though? No, I don't believe so personally, provided they don't associate you with any kind of mistreatment or unethical guiding. So, for example, I have seen it in the past where elephants respond to different types of vehicles. The same would apply to her. If I were to bring Karula food, which I would never do, not that I don't love her, but that's just not how it's done. If I were to bring Karula food every single day in this vehicle, she would come to associate us with food, and every time she heard this vehicle or saw this vehicle, she'd come running towards us. But I don't think they treat individuals differently. Goodness gracious, this isn't much better, is it, Viam? It's pretty much as good as it gets for now. I don't want to leave her, though, because I'm certain she's going to get up and start hunting. So I think that they could recognize individuals. I don't think they respond differently to different people. Again, unless they have negative connections with them. And I think it also always depends on the mood of that particular animal on the day. And Karula charged me once before, completely unexpectedly and out of the blue. And she was just not a happy cat that day. She felt exposed. She was stuck in the open air of quarantine with her impala kill, and she was just thoroughly unimpressed with life. So it does happen that the animal's particular mood on that particular day does seem to affect them. Just interestingly enough, in terms of tone, because obviously Taylor and myself will speak with a higher pitch than the boys. That's just part of being a girl. But there is a certain degree that you do moderate your tone slightly, especially when talking to leopards. Not leopards, elephants is what I meant to say. Although I imagine it would apply for leopards as well. And we try not to be too high-pitched, or not that we're ever particularly squealy, but we try and avoid that when we're with the animals. But the only animal that actually distinguishes between women and men in terms of their responses is primates. And it's terribly frustrating when you've been shouting and screaming at a troop of monkeys that's busy wrecking the joint, and they're just staring at you completely expressionless and boldly, and then all of a sudden a man walks out and waves his arm and they all disappear. It can be a very frustrating experience, but it only really happens with primates. Which is why, of course, with places like chimpanzee sanctuaries and so on, there's certain rules in determining whether women or men work with certain chimpanzees, certain primates, and so on. We're very sleepy today. Very, very sleepy. That's good. You sleep off the injuries. Heal up. Gather strength. Sorry, Erica. Bear with me 1 second. You can make your way in. Erica, you want to know how far away leopards can smell what? Sorry, Rebecca. My complete apologies. There were several conversations happening at once. Human beings. How far away can they smell human beings? It very much depends on wind direction, Erica. I would say on a relatively still day at a distance of maybe a couple of hundred yards, a couple of hundred meters. But I'm not 100% sure on that. Brent, maybe it would be slightly more. Does that mean? No, I'm joking. I'm definitely not calling him smelly in any way. It really does depend. It really does depend on the situation and which way the wind direction is blowing. Sometimes they might not smell us at all. I don't know. I know they have a fantastic sense of smell, and I know that they utilize it in their everyday life to identify different scents and to communicate with each other. But I don't know. I have seen leopards walk right past a dead carcass and go looking in the opposite direction for it. Aw, don't you want to just give her a belly rub? Isn't that lovely? She's giving herself a little chest rub. So I think it very much depends on the circumstances. And let me actually expand on that a little bit more. Sorry, there is an entire conversation happening in my ear and in my other ear as well, which is just the guides communicating with each other as to the various sightings. If a human being were to walk through a few hours previously, they could probably still smell it. And they might even have a jolly good sniff around where Brent has been sitting with all of his pepper ticks a bit later. Xongile, once Brent is gone, might come and have a look around that area and just get a jolly good idea, because they're curious. And a lot of the world that they experience is experienced through their noses. Chance they'll go and have a sniff. And it's the same when you put up camera traps. You have so many shots of various animals' noses, basically, nose on lens, because they get curious of the smell of the camera trap and the sound of the camera trap, and they walk up and they poke their nose at it. Hey, sleepy cat. I must say that the shots, we had far better luck when it was the drought in terms of the various predator sightings that we had, but they were never this beautiful. The contrast of the green and the gold of the leopard was just stunning. And hopefully Taylor's going to be able to find you something exciting and excited on Cheetah Plains. Let's go all the way across to the east and to her.
I think Rebecca said I'm live, but I'm not sure, because as I heard her talking, my communication just vanished. There must be lots of gremlins around here. I am here. Okay, thank you, Rebecca. I heard you that time. But we are safely on Cheetah Plains, and it's horribly windy here, which is not really great for us at all, because with all of these big open areas, there's not really too many places for the animals to hide. Which would be a good thing if it was great weather, because we'd see all of them, because they'd quite happily be out in the open. But this wind is not great for us, because all the animals cannot hear as well, cannot smell as well, with the scent blowing all the way around in circles. Rebecca, I just heard Jamie H. Can I have the question again? Sorry, I have to talk to Rebecca like this. There we go. That's fantastic, thank you. So it seems as though they're not so wonderful. Oh, look! Crowned lapwings. Now, Jamie H., unfortunately, this is not one of the big five, and Jamie H. was asking this afternoon. Was it Jamie H. or Judy H.? I suspect it wasn't Jamie H. Judy H.? Oh, Jamie H. I was correct. Okay, I'm just checking, because we do have, of course, Judy H., who's a regular viewer, so I was just double checking, and you were wondering what the big five is. But like I said, the crowned lapwing is not part of the big five, but it is elephant, rhinoceros, buffalo, lion, and leopard. And those are the 5 most dangerous animals to approach on foot, so that's where they get their name from. It was only later that they realized that the hippopotamus was indeed quite a scary creature to encounter on foot, and so now we learn about that. But I reckon that if they'd realized that hippos were also just as dangerous, they probably would have been the big 6. I don't think ostriches would have quite made it in. Hi guys. No, it's a pity. They're not wanting to hang around here. Okay, we'll leave them. If they don't want to be seen, those crowned lapwings, that's okay. I don't blame them for this wind, and I think that's the problem we're going to have today. So you'll have to just give the animals one day grace where they are allowed to be a little bit on the skittish side, because normally they're quite pleasant. They're always posing so beautifully for the camera. Well, they're allowed to have one bad day at a week. So we'll give them today because of the wind. But we're on our way. We have to check Buffalo Dam, I forget which one it is, but it's something to do with the buffalo, and it's one of my favorite little spots. It's a beautiful dam, and I'm really hoping that one day we're going to see something. Big herd of buffalo. I saw Andrew from Cheetah Plains. And sorry, just listening to another question coming through there. And we've got to see something. He said that there was a big herd of buffalo that were around, so we're going to try and find them if they haven't ducked for cover. And Bill was wondering, it seems as though we're just talking about, oh my goodness, look at all the different birds. Who have we got there? Let's take a look. Bill, so just talking about, of course, what were you asking? You were asking about if the animals are less relaxed, more after the rain. Yes, I would say so, but now with the wind, they are unfortunately not hanging around so much. So we've got some red-billed quailias. You can see the ones with the bright red bills fluttering around. There's lots of them. There's actually there's swarming at the back. Craig, maybe you can see if you can get that. And they're sitting in this grass, but I'll answer your question a bit better in a moment. But this is really interesting with all of these birds around here. And these birds are all feeding on the grass seeds. So all this lovely, well, I think it looks like, not common finger grass, maybe some of it's common finger grass. It looks like there's a couple of bits of crow's foot, some panicum maximum definitely sprouting out about here. And they are all dropping their seeds at the moment. So there are delicious treats for all of these seed-eating birds. So you'll see canaries also in big groups. You'll of course see the red-billed quailias. They'll be around. You might even see some of the sparrows, the streaky seed eaters might be about. I'm actually not sure I don't think I've ever seen a streaky seed eater up here. I'll have to check in my book to see if they occur down here. They've moved a bit far away now. We might get some more because this is a lovely area for all of those birds to occur, and then maybe they'll sit still. We'll have to try and sneak up on a group of them. But it's always so difficult because they're so well blended into the bushes. You don't know where they are until the last second when they fly up and give you a heart attack. It wouldn't be nice walking into a big group of birds like that. I have a heart attack when a francolin flies up from the long grass and and gives its alarm, and that is horrendously frightening. So I couldn't imagine a big group of them would be any fun at all. Right, here we are. We're at Buffalo Dam. What do we have? Nothing just yet. We're going to go find a nice little spot. There's actually my favorite little lookout point is just around the corner. And we'll look back across the dam and have a good scan. Maybe we'll see how the weavers' nests are doing. I don't know when last anybody came to check on the weavers. Let's see. Oh, this little gap is just for runoff of water, so we won't go in over there. We'll go around the next one. Oh, a bit muddy here. Okay, and here is my favorite little spot. I like it because you can see most of the dam and the weavers. Here we go. So you can see there's not much here at the moment. It's just empty water, or big pan filled with water, but it's empty at the moment. I can't see a terrapin's shell. There's a bit of movement in the water. I don't know if you saw those splashes. Perhaps there are a few fish here too that are maybe coming to the surface to collect any insects that have unfortunately fallen victim to buffalo pan. Maybe some big catfish or tilapia. You never know what could be lurking in these waters. And then that is the tree that houses most of the weavers' nests. They don't look too active, do they? They don't look active at all. Let's see. Oh, there's one. There's one bouncing around. There's a couple of them sitting out and about. But you can definitely see they've obviously got their mates. They've joined up. They've sorted their nests out. And they've probably laid eggs by now. There's not any advertising going on, which we were seeing quite a bit of. We were seeing the males dangling from the underside of their nests, flapping their wings and shaking their bodies, trying to get the attention of the females. And, well, it seems as though they've all been successful. So well done, lads, on your hard work in building nests. Now, I'm not even sure if I'm live anymore. I haven't heard from Rebecca. I know that I was in a horrible signal spot for radio communication. So I think that I could just be talking. Let's see. Hi, Rebecca. Craig, you haven't heard anything, have you? Let's see. What I've done is I'm beeping my microphone now. This will be really funny if I'm not on air, and we just have to pretend like we are, Craig. So we'll carry on, we'll do a game drive. We'll just continue until we get confirmation.
Well, sorry to just grab you away from Taylor. We've lost comms with her. But look at this. All of a sudden, Herbie went, hey, And Hosana was sneaking closer and closer to us. He's just stopped on the opposite bank and he's watching us. So we've got both of the cubs now, Hosana and Xongile. And I'm doing the same thing with Xongile as I did the last time we had her on foot. And I've slowly just kept talking and moved closer. And I've sat down now and she's actually gone completely flat and fast asleep. She's completely aware I'm here. I'm not whispering anymore. I'm talking normally. And Hosana is also completely aware that we're here. So this is incredible that they're both calming down so much. And it's just so special. This is just something you don't really ever get to do or experience. And it is, it's absolutely magical. There's my one word, magic. Absolute magic. Xongile is a completely flat cat. Now, hi Marcy. Marcy's wondering why they're separated from Karula. Karula needs some alone time, so she's gone off hunting. It's not uncommon for a female leopard to leave the cubs in an area, which she's done, and then move off and go have a snooze and wait for optimum hunting conditions, which are on their way tonight with this windy weather and cool cloudy weather, dark skies, great cat hunting weather. Now of course you never know, one of these two might make a kill. Something might meander down towards the waterhole, or let's be honest, more likely just somewhere around the waterhole, because there is so much water everywhere. The animals are not dependent on the waterholes. This is very, very, very special. I would say Hosana's probably he's watching Brian's aerial. He's watching Brian's aerial. But you see, he's coming closer. He's not running away. He's not scared. Now, he's definitely not as relaxed on foot as Xongile, but you can see he feels quite safe. He's got the water between Brian and Herbie, and oh, there we go. He's coming right out into the open. You can see he's a little bit more nervous. You see that by his movement, but now he's almost testing us. Look how he's come out into the open. He definitely can see us, but he's curious. So he's coming closer, and he's stopped out in the open, and he's going to go behind the bush to watch us again. Now he's coming much closer to us now. He's removing that water from between us. This is spectacular. Look how he's crawling. Now this is curiosity. Now this is very, very similar behavior to what Sindile used to do. He used to actually follow us back to the car. Sana, when did you become so brave? You're normally a chicken. Look at this, he's now getting closer. Now, some of you might be worried that he's actually stalking Brian, but he is, but it's curiosity. So Herbie is right next to Brian, so don't worry. He's coming very close. He's probably 25 feet from Brian now. He's got himself some cover to watch Brian. This is amazing. So we've experienced this with Xongile before, but never with Hosana coming this close to us before. Now imagine if we just keep sitting here and he carries on and he'll go play with his sister. Wouldn't that be amazing? That will be something I've never ever seen before, is leopard cubs playing on foot. Now look at that camouflage as he's disappeared into the ground. He's about the same distance as I was from Xongile. And one must remember, so we haven't forced ourselves into his space. He's chosen to come This is very special. This is amazing. Look at him trying to see through the grass at us. What you doing? What you doing, silly boy? Yeah, I can see you. You think I can't, but I can. Good thing we're not an impala. So we're going to just move into a position a little bit further away where we can see him more clearly without having to peer down on him. And we'll just try to give him some space. He might move through this area towards Xongile. So while we do that, let's go back to Jamie, who's with Karula.
Well, Karula, thank you for all these wonderful cubs and the amazing experiences that you have provided us with, because I know that Brent is going to come back from his bushwalk absolutely glowing. I can just see the smile that's going to be on his face when he gets back. And of course, we have this lovely lady to thank for that. The fact that she let us see those cubs, the fact that she was with them when we were first sort of introducing ourselves to them, and then us to them and them to us. You know what I mean. You get there. I think that it has been a truly extraordinary journey that we've all taken with Hosana and Xongile, and I've personally never spent as much time with a set of leopard cubs, one specific set of leopard cubs, and actually seen them pretty much on a weekly basis. It's been extraordinary. So thank you to Karula, who I think is taking a well-deserved break. Hosana is now bigger than she is. I don't know. I'm pretty sure. Well, last night, what do you think, Viam? He's bigger than her now.
She might still be a little bit longer.
She might be a bit longer, you're right. She's a bit longer, but I actually think he's taller. And he's definitely as bulky, or close to as bulky. And he's not gentle with his mum. He shows affection in the sort of the way of the teenage boy, with slight over-exuberance. Hey, girl. It's nice to have a break every now and again. You should definitely take some Karula time. And don't forget, for our new viewers, please do send through your hashtag Safari Live on Twitter questions and pretend that sentence made sense. I'm going to turn down the Game Drive comms because there's been a never-ending stream. So the Game Drive comms is the way in which we communicate with the various guides out here. A lot of the time we can tune it out, but the combination when they are all having a conversation in your ear is sometimes slightly disconcerting. Shall I try that again? Send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or email through to questions@wildearth.tv. And for all of our new viewers, please don't be shy. We know that there are lots of viewers out here who know these animals as well as we do, sometimes better in certain cases. But it would be lovely to hear from you. Don't be shy. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Right, let us go across and see how the Hosana-Brent-Brian combination is working out.
This is I am in leopard heaven, and he's stalked us now. Oh, sorry, I moved a little bit fast. Let me move back in. So he stalked us. He came from the other side of the dam. He's covered over 100 meters to get close to us. And he's now found himself a nice termite mound where he can pop his head up and watch us very carefully. And look at him, he's a silly boy. And Xongile is still fast asleep. She hasn't even lifted her head from where she was. Hey, mister. It's okay. Now, this is very common young male leopard behavior. When you track them on foot, they'll often sneak up after you. So this is very, very special. Now, Sindile used to do this a lot. He followed Jamie for up to like 200 meters back to the car the one day. Hey, mister. But this is really positive because in the past, Hosana, I'm just going to sit now. Hosana has, where do you want me, Brian? Sorry. No. So Hosana has been, where do you want me? Keep turning. Hosana has been a lot less relaxed on foot, and he tends to sneak away. Now this is the first time he's shown that same behavior as Xongile. Xongile did it from a lot younger age. You sort of sneak up. But I think he's probably been watching us, as Jamie predicted, for quite some time while we've been sitting with Xongile. And I think he might have even followed us. So we went on that long walk up to where he was, and now we've come back into this area, and I think he followed us back here. So this is very, very special. And as I said, it's not something that you would do normally with leopards, but we have been following these leopards since they were little sausages. I mean, I saw Hosana and Xongile when they were a couple of hours old, completely blind. Oh, he's stalking around again. I think he's going to pop out at that next termite round. There he is. Look at that. Look at him pop around the next corner. Look at him pop around the next corner. Look how close he's getting. What are you doing, mister? This is amazing. This is just too special for words. Now, again, I'm going to ask you for a one-word tweet. How would you feel if you were sitting on the ground being stalked by a male leopard? He's getting closer again. What are you doing, mister? So he's just come in front of the termite mound. Now watch this. Now Herbie and I are going to turn our backs. Is he moving, Brian? So normally, as soon as you turn away and stop looking, when you turn and look back at him, he stops moving again. He's now, what do you reckon, Brian? 15 meters. And Xongile is 30 meters to the left of us. Now, we've been spoilt and we've been hogging these little leopards for quite some time. And I know Andrew has just arrived behind us. He didn't know we were here. So we're probably going to maybe walk on, see what else we can find. But, or maybe we'll stay for 5 more minutes. This is just too amazing. Xongile is still sleeping. Hosana, look at him. Yeah, I see you. Now he is going to be a magnificent male. He's already huge for his age. Well, we're going to spend a little bit more time here, and then we're going to let Andrew come in the vehicle so his guests can enjoy this incredible sighting. And we'll probably move off and go walk somewhere else. But while we do that, let's go back to Jamie, who's with Mom, who's not too bothered where she left the kids.
Not bothered at all. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen Karula look less bothered than she is right now, quite happily dozing away. I'm trying to toss up what we should do with our afternoon. I feel like if we leave, she's going to get up and go hunting, but we could go and take over where Brent left off with the cubs and enjoy a bit of time with them. So it's a bit confusing as to what we should do. I'm still trying to decide. Now, Sylvia, you want to know, well, why do I expect a Karula to get up and go and start hunting? Because that's what Karula does, to be honest. It's just from observation and having spent many hours with her. Leopards are not strictly nocturnal. In fact, they actually hunt at any time of the day. And there is a very strong possibility, because Karula is such a dedicated mother, and she's quite a hard worker. Even with a full belly, we see her get up, leave the cubs, go off in search of the next meal relentlessly. And she has to at the moment, because her cubs are going through that teenage growth spurt. As we mentioned earlier, Hosana is already larger than she is. So to be honest, I think that's what she's going to do. But leopards being leopards and wildlife being wildlife, they very seldom do exactly what we expect them to do. Now, I'd say probably it's a 50-50 split. So she could spend the rest of the afternoon fast asleep in the grass. I'm not quite sure exactly what she's going to do. Suspect get up and hunt. Let's put it this way. If I continue to sit here with her, she's going to continue to sleep. If I leave, she's going to get up and go and hunt. Not because it has anything to do with my presence. It's just Murphy's Law. That will just be how it goes. In the same way I feel as though at some point we might get drenched because I took the roof off. What to do? What to do indeed. Perhaps, I don't know what Taylor's plans are for the afternoon. I don't know if she's still planning on getting all the way to Cheetah Plains or if she's going to come back at some point. Perhaps we might do a double vehicle leopard sighting, or at least have 2 different leopard sightings. I just don't want to leave her because I just have a feeling she's going to get up and then she's gone. If she moves into this vegetation, into this block to the north of us, she's going to vanish completely. It's hard enough tracking her on the roads. If she goes in here, she's going to vanish. There's no way we'll find her. There's a river system that she likes to follow that's just a little bit to the north of us. Good hunting area, lots of little antelope to be caught unawares. She just doesn't look like she wants to do anything right now, though. What to do, Beckles? What shall we do? You can see her ears twitching. She's rubbed her face quite a few times just to keep the flies off that wound, which of course is exactly what she needs to do, although it would be ideal if she doesn't keep it open by rubbing it constantly. Those of you with pets will know the difficulty of a situation where they have a tiny injury but they don't leave it alone. They lick and lick and lick and lick and lick constantly to the point that they actually make things worse instead of better, and you wind up having to put a traffic cone around their heads. It's exactly the same thing with wild animals as well. They can keep it clean, but they can also make it worse if she worries at it. I don't think she will, though. I think she'll be fine. It's just the biting stable flies, keeping them off her. Now, Reese, interesting that you should ask this question while we're looking at Karula. Makes sense with her eye injury. Reese, you want to know if a leopard lost an eye, would it affect their hunting? Yes, however, not to the point that they would learn to adapt, they'd learn to compensate, and they'd be absolutely fine. The reason I say it's interesting that you should ask that with this particular leopard is because her mother lost an eye, or lost her vision in her eye. Safari, the safari female, whom I never met, she had died before I even entered this area, but Safari apparently didn't have vision in one eye, and she was a successful mother, a successful hunter. She raised Karula, as she has, to continue her legacy as the Queen of Djuma. So there are quite a few. I wouldn't say it's common, but there's quite a few one-eyed leopards wandering around, and they do just fine. And they have to learn to compensate, and the reason I say it will affect their hunting is because, of course, it's going to affect their proprioception and their depth perception. So knowing exactly where something is, they now no longer have the sort of dual focus of both eyes. So it will affect them, but they'll learn to compensate. And the muscles around the surviving eye, the remaining eye, will strengthen up and learn to focus in that sort of way. Now, it is possible. Not that we wish that upon Karula, of course. I don't think there's any risk of her losing an eye. She's managed quite well. In fact, of all of her senses, I'm just thinking if there's any other grievous injuries that a leopard could continue to survive with. I don't think so. Now, you sometimes hear reports of 3-legged hyenas. That's actually quite common, but a 3-legged leopard would not be very successful. I also wonder what would happen to a leopard without a tail. I've never seen one. I've heard stories of them. I imagine, again, it would learn to compensate and survive, but that tail is so crucial in terms of balance and the way in which they position themselves contentedly on branches. What do you think, Viam? Leopard without a tail? Probably be fine.
Scary.
Be very scary. Snoozing away quite contentedly. I think I hear the gentle rumble of the Mahindra, Viam. It sounds as though the Bushwalk team is slowly but surely approaching our position. Interesting. That's not bushwalking. That's bush driving. There they go. Here's Herbie grinning. Oh, best smile in the world. And the very charismatic Brian in the back, giving us his very... what's the word? That's very much a Brian pose. that thumbs up, that very affirming, life-affirming thumbs up that he's just given us. Bye, Bushwalk. All right, let's go back to our leopard then. Marvin, you want to know who Karula's siblings are? Marvin, here I have to take a step back and ask all of you who know Karula so well to step in. I believe she had a brother called Matimba. I don't think he was from the same litter, though. And as to what happened to Matimba, I think he went to the north, but I'm not 100% sure. I think she had a brother called Matimba. I'm sure she had other siblings in the past. As to where they are or their exact history, I honestly am not 100% sure. So I'll send out a plea to all of you who do know and who have been following these leopards for such an extended period of time to let me know. Matimba's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. And again, I don't know. I think he was younger. Was he younger? I can't remember. I'm sorry. I did used to know that particular detail, but I don't know anything else about her other siblings. Now, Nathan, you want to know if leopards are vulnerable to other predator attacks in this area? Yes, potentially. Though the biggest threat to a leopard is a lion. It's a difficult balance to strike. Any predator out here will kill another predator if they have the opportunity. Obviously, a leopard can't kill a fully grown lion, but it could potentially kill lion cubs if it happened upon them unattended. But yes, leopards are potentially threatened by other predators. They're usually too quick for lions, but every now and again lions do catch them by surprise. We got amazing footage of Tingana nearly getting caught by a lioness, and that's the first time I've ever seen a lioness or a lion get so close to a leopard. He just managed to get up the tree in time. Generally, hyenas don't mess with them. Once they're fully grown, obviously a hyena is an incredible threat to leopard cubs, but once they're fully grown, then they are quick enough and their reflexes are fast enough and they're skilled enough to get up a tree away from a hyena. And also, to be honest, it would be a foolish hyena that picks a fight with a leopard, because they'll give as good as they get, even if a hyena is much heavier than they are. And their biggest threat, of course, to Karula's cubs, another male leopard, one that isn't known to this area. Wow, that is quite the bank of clouds. It can't be coming in from the west. If we learnt anything from yesterday's storm in a teacup, once again, it's that the weather doesn't come in from the west. If this comes in from the west, we're in deep trouble, because that means our weather's all upside down and topsy-turvy. I've never had rain come in from the west here. That's what it looked like it was going to do yesterday, but it's all blowing north. Oh, there we go. Michael, apparently her younger brother was named Matimba, and her sister's name was, sorry Rebecca, I didn't catch that, Shemba. Shemba, am I? Tsemba. Okay, so was that the older sister or the younger sister? Sorry, Bex. Unsure. Okay, so she had a sister called Tsemba and a younger brother called Matimba. Beyond that, I don't know anything more about Karula's siblings. Presumably she would have had more, but perhaps they didn't all survive. That's why Karula's always called such an exception to the rule. That's why we pointed out time and time again. Her success rate is extraordinary. There is a very ominous feeling to the air. Please don't come and pour down on our heads. Especially now I've taken my roof off. Rebecca will be so cross with me. She will be so cross. I'll have to bring her a flower. But Rebecca says she won't be cross, but she will still take the flower. Liam? She's still fast asleep. What do we do? Do we stay or do we go? Apparently Taylor's comms have disappeared. And Brent, I'm not entirely sure what's happening with Bushwalk. I assume they have some sort of a problem. I think that the weather has made them nervous. They're driving back closer to home. That's where they're going. I'm sure Taylor's absolutely fine. She just appears to have lost communication. Okay, decision made. As soon as I do this, she's going to get up and move.
We need to trick her, pretend we're leaving.
Pretend we're leaving and then just stay around the corner. Should we see? I'm actually quite interested to see if that... Sometimes I do wonder if Karula doesn't do that. Let's just go see. I'm just curious now. Give her a little bit of space and just see if she does decide to get up. I think she might also be feeling a bit sore. Oh, I have lovely news. It appears as though Taylor has regained her comms, so let's go and find out what that rascal is up to.
Back to the land of living it is. Well, Jamie, at the moment, I'm driving on Chitwa, very slowly, bumbling along the road, and you can see we have a friend who's just over there in the form of a guinea fowl, and we'll stop here for a moment just to watch the guinea fowl. But this guinea fowl has got either side of the road to cross onto. Left, right, it can go forwards, it can fly, but it does not want to. It wants to stay on the road. And we're just going very slowly, of course. And I don't know, there we go. Well done, guinea fowl. After about a couple of meters, it's realized that it can indeed turn off of the road. But it did give me a heart attack because it came racing out of the long grass, and I got such a fright. I did a bit of a jump. I don't know, Craig, did you see it? Me have a little jump? You have a little heart attack? It's just moving through here. Let's see if we can get a view of this guinea fowl. No, it's now gone right to the back of the grass, unfortunately. But it was quite pretty, this one, this helmeted guinea fowl. It looked like its head was particularly blue, and its little wattles were quite red. So it actually stood out quite nicely, but unfortunately in that long grass, there is no chance of seeing it. But we're on our way towards Chitwa Dam. Ooh. And I've just looked at the weather. It looks a bit miserable. It's not raining, but there's a set of dark clouds coming down. But isn't that cool? You can see them there. And it's a difficult one to try and spot the clouds, because this area that we're going through is full of bush willows. This should be called Bush Willow Alley. There are so many of them, but it's not. I actually don't know what this road is called. Right, but we're coming up to the airstrip, that's all I know. Don't necessarily have to know the names of the roads, so they would benefit me, but I know, at least I know where I'm going. So let's see what's at the airstrip, the Chitwa airstrip. But we're actually still a bit of a way. I think I got too excited. We're still probably a couple of 100 meters away. We're not actually seeing too much. I think I got excited as well at the beginning of drive. I'd said that we'd seen lots and lots of things. We'd seen the giraffe, and we've seen a couple of kudu here and there, but far off in the denser thicket. Not too many very close by that we can spot. And there's lots of... There's bee eaters making a noise, but I can't see them. I can just hear them. So the bee eaters must be flying. There's one. I don't know which bee eater it is. You can just see the silhouette of it. But they're flying through here. Again, must be a food party, a group of them. Bee eaters can be quite gregarious, so it's not uncommon to see them all flying and flock together. Not sure. Maybe the same grass. Right. It seems as though we have problems with the gremlins jumping and attacking of Wendy quite severely. So we've got to get our weaponry out to face them off. But let's go back to Brent, who's still walking around.
Wasn't that amazing? Wasn't that absolutely incredible? I mean, walking across quarantine looking at flowers now seems so dull. Oh, wasn't that exhilarating? Absolutely splendid. Actually, it was so splendid I went to run up a termite mound. no, let's not go quite that far, Brian. I wasn't in the circus like you. Wow, what a way to spend your afternoon, or half of it at least, being stalked by a leopard. Now, I was hoping to find some flowers out here in quarantine, but alas, the ones from the first set of rain are dead, and the ones from the second set of rain are yet to spring, except for that one, or two. So here we go. Very pretty little flowers of the Indigofera fera, an indigo dye plant. Now, I've actually been meaning to try this, so sorry, Indigofera, because I've read about it, but I've never actually tried it. So see, the ground's nice and soft. Look, there we go. I'm going to take those roots, I'm going to soak them in some warm water and see if the colour comes out, because that's how you make dye for baskets and clothes and stuff. So, you know what? You can't always believe everything you read in the book, so we're going to try it. Pop an Indigofera in my pocket while we stroll on. Now, they're very, very common, so there's lots of them around. They are specialists at sort of disturbed areas that have got a lot of sand, so you find them growing on the edge of roads. And the reason quarantine is a disturbed area at the moment is because of the drought. So a lot of the grass cover, it doesn't have the same grass cover it used to have. If you have a look carefully, it's quite patchy now. So it's going to take a while, but I'm sure it will recover. The bush is amazing the way it does that. So you can see here, this is even more fascinating. See, these are also Indigoferas, but they're dead Indigoferas. So they're perennials, they don't last very, very long. Sorry, annuals. Ooh, they die very quickly, not perennials, annuals. So they'll only live for a couple of weeks at a time, and then they'll die. Now, these peanut butter cassias, although exotic, have been incredibly productive when it comes to finding jojos. This one, however, doesn't have any. Well, I thought I saw a jojo, but it's the new leaf opening up. So eventually that's going to untwirl and become like that. Isn't that incredible? Even for an exotic, bad plant, naughty plant. Oh, it's getting dark. There's some heavy cloud rolling in, but I think the rain will stay away from us for at least the duration of our bushwalk. I can't say anything about the guys in the cars, but it's still, cloud's quite high. Sorry, I'm still just bouncing around on cloud 9 after Xongile and Hosana on foot. So here we go, you can see off to the north, it's a bit light, much more light, but as we look to the west, to the south, and looking to the south is actually where the majority of our rain comes from, and it's quite dark and ominous in that direction. Speaking of rain, there's a rain tree. Let's see if anything's living on the rain tree. Ooh, but there's not something we see too often. Before we talk about the rain tree, a mole. A mole is being excavated in quarantine.
That's cool.
Well, that's cool. I haven't seen many much sign of mole around here. Let's see, we got anything living on the rain tree? These are one of my favorite trees from Botswana, and they grow in abundance around the Okavango, and they're very big trees, and there's a couple of reasons why they called it a rain tree, and I was really hoping we were going to find a spittlebug or two on here, but unluckily not. So spittlebugs are one of the reasons they're called a rain tree. They're tiny little insects, frog hoppers or spittlebugs, and basically what they'll do is they'll sit sort of on the stem there like that, and sometimes a tree can have an infestation of them, and they will basically drink the sap and exude a single drop of urine, which is almost pure water, at a rate of absolute knots. So sometimes when there's no rain and sunny skies, you get under a rain tree and you're, oh, it's raining, and it's just the spittlebugs peeing on you. Now, another reason they're called the rain tree is if you This one's a bit, let me use my stick rather. When the wind blows, they say it sounds like rain, but what do you think? I just think it sounds like rustling leaves. But there's a very important rule if you are building a house or a lodge out in the bush, and that's never build your house under a rain tree, because they fall down very easily. So they fall over easily in the wind. Now, it seems because we had to depart, I'm quite jealous now, I'm actually quite a little bit upset. We had to depart Xongile and Hosana. Jamie has made the right call by going there, but she can only see Xongile. I wonder if Hosana's stalking her.
I hear that Brent has been dispensing words of wisdom that sound a lot like don't build your house on the sandy land. Oh, we have indeed joined Xongile, who is imitating her mum, right down to the W on her forehead. You sleepy cat. So, too much excitement for the day. Apparently Brent was wondering if perhaps Hosana is stalking us. I hope so. Well, I think that's the only way we're going to see him. I can't find him. I absolutely can't find him. I have a feeling we're being watched once again. I was right about Brent. I have a feeling I'm right about this. But as to where... Xongile, where's your brother? Where's your brother? Oh, hold on. Brent's going to tell me where her brother is. Standing by. That's affirmative. Copy that, thanks, Brent. I have a confession to make. Both Vim and myself completely missed Xongile. We parked here, and we're looking everywhere for this little leopard cub until Vim very casually pointed out that she was right there in front of us. Brent says that Hosana is on the northern side, just by the open area in the long grass. Sure, the grass is long enough to hide a little leopard. That is for certain. Let me grab my binoculars. Let me attempt to disentangle them from all of the radio paraphernalia. Let's see if we can find him. Where are you, mister? Are you doing another imitation of your mum? Puddle of spots somewhere. Where are you? Now it's a race to see who spots him. Perhaps he's a bit further than I thought. Perhaps he's on that side. Mysterious. Deeply mysterious. Well, a leopard in the hand is worth two in the bush. I'm sure he's here somewhere. He'll make himself known to us eventually. I'm hoping in this nice cool weather he might decide to come out and play some more with Xongile. And then perhaps we'll be able to get some really lovely time spent with them, enjoying each other's company. What a contented leopard cub. She must feel quite safe, actually. The dam wall at her back, water below her. Nothing is going to come creeping up on her without making a significant amount of noise. This is a go-away bird. I don't know if they've spotted the leopard or if they're just calling to each other. There they are. A highly vocal go-away bird. Aww. Preening each other. How sweet is that? Yum. I'm going to assume the one on the left is a juvenile, and that Mom just regurgitated a little bit of food. Or Dad, potentially. Could be either. We were, of course, playing the Which Bird Would We Be game, and RC in the Netherlands very kindly suggested I might be an arrow-marked babbler. Perhaps RC, but only for 6 hours a day. This is so sweet. Look at it begging. And being fed by the adult. It's got its full plumage. I mean, it's fully fledged at this point. They've got quite an extended period where even though they have fledged, they're cared for by their parents. And the same goes for hornbills as well. And the larger bird species do spend a bit more time with their chicks. Who would be a go-away bird, Viam? Whee! Taylor. I like go-away birds. They're one of my favourites. Taylor's too friendly to be a go-away bird, though.
Why birds are friendly?
It is raining, Rebecca. It's raining a significant amount. I've been trying to ignore it, but it is getting to the point that I can no longer ignore it. It is deeply concerning. I would just prefer to get our VR equipment out of the wet and the damp. Would be ideal. Relatively rapidly, if that would be possible. Thanks very much. Now, Brent, not gonna rain. The two of us should not take up careers as weathermen. Let's go over to Brent so we can get our stuff covered up.
Oh, hello, welcome back. Yes, we're still finding it quite hard to trump Hosana stalking us, but we're trying. So, what we decided to do as a human being, of course, we're not very good at stalking. We think we are, but as you saw, Hosana's much better. So, quite often, actually, traditional hunters... we're going to change our direction. Jamie and I are definitely bad at being weathermen. What do you see? Oh, we can see the rain. Now, welcome to the Bushwalk jog as we move quite quickly. Oh my goodness, where did this come from? We just got to get some rain covers out of the back, but I think we're going to make it to the car while we do that. We're going to keep walking. Because obviously the bushwalk's quite sensitive. There's no covers and stuff to go over it. Herbie's just getting it out of his back. Well, you've got to see us do a bushwalk jog, get stalked by a leopard. Now you're going to see me look miserable like a drowned rat.
We also saw an ellie.
And we saw an ellie, yes. Here we go. Oh, thank you. That's not for the camera, that's for me. No, no need to. I was going to put this over at Brian's back quickly. I'll keep talking to you while I do it. So obviously the bushwalk backpack's quite open at the back because stuff can get hot. So we're just going to tuck it in before the harder rain gets here. Oh dear, I don't want to. I nearly accidentally switched it off. That would have been bad. Okay, that'll do. That'll make us survive. I think it's going to blow over. I don't know. Herbie, what do you think? Is it going to blow over or is it coming now? It's coming. Well, you've just seen us deal with rain covers, so let's go quickly to Jamie, who's doing the same.
Battening down the hatches and making sure that all of our equipment is safe and sound. Oh dear, Viam. This afternoon has not gone our way in terms of choices. You will see a gentleman in the front. His name is Rollo. Am I pronouncing that right?
You are.
I am, yes. Rollo is one member of a 3-person team that is responsible for the vast amount of equipment that sits on front of the vehicle in the form of the VR rig. So that was what that big ball was, and that is to provide 360-degree videos, you know, the kind that you can put into those, what do you call those, virtual reality headsets. You can look all around. Yes. That is Rollo, and he is busy covering everything up. And we'll do a proper introduction in a moment once we've made sure that everything is spick and span. Go away, weather. You only had an hour more to go. I had visions of a VR with leopard cubs playing around us, Xongile lying in front of the vehicle. Now if we tried to do a VR, it would just be a black plastic blur, which I don't think is going to work terribly well. Where are you from, Rollo?
From England.
From England.
Dorset.
From Dorset. I like Dorset. It's very pretty.
It is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Not as good as Louis here.
Yeah. No, look, you'd have to try hard to top this. You would definitely have to try hard. Rebecca would like you to speak in the Dorset accent. You'll have to do it into my microphone.
Down in Dorset.
Down in Dorset.
On our tractors. Right?
Love it. I love a West Country accent. The trackers. Okay, I'm not very good at this, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Yep. You good to go, Vim? I'm good to go too. Rusty, however, is not. Rebecca encouraging us as Power Rangers, because we've all apparently lost our minds this afternoon. The Power Rangers were cool, I get it. Okay, right. Now, the next decision. I think we can tough this out, Viam, for now. How do you feel? You're happy? It is, of course, the camera operator's call. As soon as they feel that our equipment's getting too wet, then we'll have to race back and get the roof. But for now, it's really just horrible wind. It's not... Let me do this quite slowly so I don't startle Shungi. It's not too serious. Hello, Baba. Hi, my girl. Hey, gorgeous. I'm just going to slide back a fraction. See, the branch is not in her face. Hello, my girl. Hey, sweetheart. This is a whole lot more rain than you've ever been used to up until relatively recently, baby of the drought. This is a whole new experience for you. This is called a wet season, Xongile. And last year when you were born, there wasn't one, even though there was meant to be. Now you have to learn to deal with it. Shame. She looks quite miserable. It's cold, it's windy. Little madam, perhaps you should go and find yourself somewhere slightly more sheltered. Our animals out here, of course, don't have anywhere to go and hide. They just have to sit out the weather. And I wonder if she knows that this kind of weather means really good prospects for dinner. That her mum will most definitely be getting up and off in search of food. Now we've got another decision to make. Since the weather's closed in like this, should we go back to Karula? Because I think she's going to use this to her full advantage. The howl of the wind, the sudden darkness. Rebecca tells me that there is apparently a solar eclipse happening. I pointed out that was just the clouds eclipsing the sun, but apparently there really is a solar eclipse occurring. No chance of us seeing that, I'm afraid. Unfortunately, we're going to have to miss that one out. It's a full eclipse. It is a full eclipse. We are being thoroughly eclipsed by the rain clouds. And all of a sudden, just like that, the frogs start. Like clockwork. You can hear an olive toad croaking in the background. Painted reed frogs. No bubbling casinas or casinas in this dam. Isn't that a nice soundtrack to fall asleep to? Hey, Xongile? The best lullaby in the world. Her eyes are almost exactly the same color as her mother's now. For a leopard cub that started off with the brownest eyes I've ever seen, they're now just a little bit browner than Karula's. Okay. What shall we do? Go back to Karula? Tricky decision to make. Oof. Sudden howling wind. I wonder where Hosana is. I'm quite annoyed that we haven't managed to spot him. I think unless Xongile decides to get up now and go off in search of him herself, I think we should. Maybe just take a quick loop around the dam. Perhaps I missed him coming in. Oh, wait, hold on. No, just shifting into a more comfortable spot. That's a really lovely pillow you've got going on there, Xongile. Lovely news, Taylor has returned to Djuma, which I think is a very wise decision since the rain is setting in. Let's jump on board and find out whether or not she's been blown away yet.
We haven't been blown away, not just yet, but we are getting rained on, but we've got some of our rain covers on, which should keep us a little bit dry. And, well, we've got Craig's favourite animal, the tiger horse. Craig, you impressed by that? Just a little giggle from Craig. But, yes, this is a zebra, and I think a tiger horse suits the name for this animal very much well, or a striped horse, or a donkey in pajamas. You know, you can be as creative as you like, and if you've come up with any good ones, you must always let us know, because we like to have a good chuckle at the different names you can give animals. And this actually looks like it's the stallion that's standing here. Just from its posture, the way that it is looking out while the rest of the herd grazes off to the right of it. And that's typically what happens, is that the stallion will also eat, but also keep an eye out for, well, any threats. And every now and then you might see a cloth come across the screen. That'll be just Craig wiping away the little droplets that are forming on the lens. Like I said, it's been drizzling out here. But there's the rest of the herd, and there's actually a little foal in there somewhere, but I can't see it at the moment with all of the stripes and the different sizes of the zebra. Oh, there it is. Well spotted, Craig. You can see it just in front or behind the one's rump that is facing the opposite way. Come on, pop your head up. There's its little legs. It does look quite young. I'm not sure exactly how young it is just yet. It is quite far away, but it's probably a couple of months old. Oi, who's that shouting out and about? Sounds like it's, I don't know if it was a crested or if it was a Natal spurfowl making all of that ruckus, but one of them is shouting in here. Though the zebra don't seem to be too bothered by that. They're just carrying on with their day, or with their afternoon. Now, I don't know if they're going to go and perhaps sit down somewhere and keep out of this bad weather, especially because it's definitely on its way. But I think it's only going to hit us properly a little bit later this evening. I think we'll be okay for now. But I suppose it's a good spot to graze. There's quite a lot of shelter around here, lots and lots of shrubs. So there's plenty of space for them to go. But there's the stallion. Look how big he is. He's got a very thick neck, lovely built shoulders, and a fantastic hindquarter on him. And it is difficult to tell the difference between mares and stallions. But you sort of get used to it. And there we go. You can see the bits that make him a boy. But if you can't see that, if you just think of horses, just look at what a stallion would look like. Extra shiny coat, and like I just described earlier, the thick neck, all the muscles on the shoulder, and then the muscles on the rump. Now, Braden, you've asked if zebra are ruminants, and the answer to that is actually no. Unlike the rest of the antelope species, which are ruminants, including the giraffe that we saw earlier, zebras are not. They've got a very simple digestive system, so it's not as good as a ruminant is. And they actually, during their digestion system, they're releasing quite a bit of methane gas, so that's why their bodies get that big bloated look, and that's often why when a zebra kicks it into fifth gear, straight into a gallop, they will pass a bit of wind every now and then as they go off. But no, so not ruminants. Look at that one's tail, though. He's got the most gorgeous tail. Now, if I remember correctly, the hours and hours that I spent trying to untangle my horse's tails with a brush and sort of like a conditioner for their tail as well, because it's terrible. That looks lovely and neat, and that's never had a brush go through it. I couldn't get my horse's tails to look like that even if I tried. I, of course, had the naughtiest horses. Mac, you said that he is a stunning zebra, even in this dim light. I have to agree with you. We won't be able to stay with them for too much longer, just because, well, it's going to be very difficult to view them. It's getting dark very quickly with this thick cloud cover coming out and about. But he's just everything about him is wonderful. Big, beautiful ears, lovely mane. Excuse me. Now, Red Fire, you're wondering if it is true that a zebra's pattern is like a fingerprints and it is unique. That is indeed correct. That's 100% correct. So there's no two stripes, two same patterns to any zebra. And what they do in zoos or in breeding centers to try and form ID kits of the various zebras is that let's find one that is going to face sideways. Craig, can you see that mare that's got quite a belly on her? She's got her body turned sideways to us. If you go a little bit to the right, a little bit more, there we go. And then if we can have a look at her front left shoulder, you see that there's a triangle of stripes forming on the front left shoulder. So they'll take that, they'll sort of take a picture of that particular marking, and that's what they will use in order to identify the various zebras. If they're doing research or if it's a breeding program, whatever it may be, that is what they will use. But how cool is that? Isn't this such a lovely herd? I can't believe they stay clean. Anna, now, since I was just talking about my horses, there are actually quite a few similarities between horses and zebras. And you're wondering if I've ever seen a zebra with colic or laminitis before. So laminitis is when they become lame. So typically it's a problem due to their foot. So normally the farrier can sort it out if it's an abscess or something along those lines. I've definitely seen zebras with laminitis. I think that's actually quite a common injury for amongst horses and amongst zebra, is that they are running around a lot, and even if it's just standing on a bit of uneven ground, they can also sort of jar their joints slightly, which could cause a bit of problems. I don't know if zebras get the same types of foot disease that and problems that horses seem to have problems with, especially the competition horses. But remember, the competition horses, I think, are also working a lot harder than what a zebra would or a wild horse would be, is that they're regularly being worked and going out and actively doing exercise, whereas wild animals, zebras and wild horses, for example, they're not exercising to get fit. They get fit when they do run around, but they're trying to conserve as much energy as they can out here, because if they do go gallivanting consistently, if a lion does chase them, all of a sudden come bursting out of the bushes, they're not really going to have too much energy to keep going. They're going to be tired, and then they run the risk of being caught. So I suppose it's very, very different. I don't think I've seen a zebra with colic before. I've had a couple of horses. Unfortunately, one of my horses died because of colic, which was very sad. He had an operation, he went to Onderstepoort, and then unfortunately had another bouts of it afterwards, and he just didn't make it in the end, which was very sad. So colic is not a nice thing. But I don't know how easy it is for a zebra to sort of twist their stomachs. I'm sure it must be very much the same. But like I said, I haven't seen it. But Brent might have. We can always ask Brent. We can ask Jamie if she's seen anything, if she's ever seen a zebra with colic before. And it's so funny, the stallion, he hasn't really moved an inch. Just sort of pivoted around and checking other areas. Well, it seems as though the zebra have got their eyes out, searching for all sorts of things that could possibly be trying to, well, sneak up on them and eat them tonight. And Jamie's doing something fairly similar. She's got her eyes wide open and she's still searching for Hosana.
Eyes wide open, just like Xongile, who appears to be waking up. She's shuffled around a little bit. So I went to go and have a look for Hosana, and I think he's just taken himself off on a little stroll, because Andrew was here just a few minutes before I got here, and he said he had both cubs. So I think he's just gone on a little wander, as they are wont to do every now and again. I'm not too concerned. I'm sure he's around. Perhaps went to go wander off, hoping that Mom had brought back some dinner for him. Are you exhausted, Xongile? It's been a long, busy day. I'm glad that the cubs are much older now, that the hyenas have returned, because this wouldn't have been the best place for them to settle if they were a little bit younger. Oh, big yawn. Throw in a couple of licks and perhaps another big yawn and she might actually get up. Big cats often do that before they start to move. But they are so close to the hyena den, and there's been so much hyena activity around this waterhole that I'm very, very glad. I'm no longer worried about them and hyenas. I think they understand now. They know exactly what hyenas are all about. They know exactly how to handle it. But I'm glad that they are a bit older. Another big yawn, So what I'm doing, because they are now old enough for the use of the spotlight, I'm not shining it directly at her. So I'm actually bouncing it off the ground so that the light reflects back towards her rather than shining straight into her face. Now you can illuminate all nocturnal creatures with spotlights, but we try and do so as carefully and as ethically as possible. They've got that reflective layer at the back of their eyes that allows them to cope with it. It doesn't dazzle them or disorient them, but it's just good manners, really. Big yawn. Look how big your teeth have got, madam. Olive toad. No, it's not olive toad, I'm sorry. I'm talking nonsense. It's a foam nest frog. It is a foam nest tree frog that's calling like that. I think it is relatively apparent, but obviously Bushwalk had to race back home and they've had to close down for the evening because it's got dark very quickly. Not safe for them to be walking about in this weather, this wind gusting around in the semi-darkness. Oh, another big yawn. And they definitely don't want to be strolling around in this. So they send their goodbyes and their thank yous, but they have finished off for the afternoon. I'm sure Brent is going to be full of stories when we get back. Oh, it's interesting that the Karulas left them at this dam a lot, regularly. We've left them here in the evening and we've come back first thing in the morning and they've still been lying around here. This is obviously a very familiar, very comfortable place to them. It doesn't seem to bother them that they are right out in the open. And actually being at this waterhole isn't too much of a danger right now because the place is so full of puddles that there's very little that's actually coming to drink here. Even a pride of lions strolling through would probably have stopped and had a drink at various puddles along the way. So it's a good spot. Yes, that's it. Get rid of all the ticks. You can't beat yourself with a weeping wattle in the same way we can. It's such a bemusing feeling knowing that somewhere around here Hosana is watching us. Keeping an eye on his sister. He's probably going to pop out unexpectedly and pounce on her. Such a lovely chorus of frogs. And of course the howl of the wind. Alright, I'm just going to take the spotlight off her for a little bit. I just want to do a check around the area. It's now dark enough that I should just get the reflection of his eyes. Sorry, if he is around here. Don't think he's going to be on the southern side. No, it's not quite dark enough yet. Ah, voila, says Wim. He has the solution. Leopard in infrared. Now there's no lights on her at all, and we can see her. You're looking a little green, Shoggy. You feeling all right? And we can see her crystal clearly. That's the wonderful thing about infrared, is it actually especially for situations where the leopard or the animal is hunting. Now, we've spoken about this before, and I just touched on it with the ethics of spotlighting. Obviously, you really don't want to be spotlighting a hunting big cat, because you're either going to give away their position or you are going to dazzle the animal that they're hunting, which is hugely unfair. So this is where the true joy of infrared filming comes in. And we had so much fun playing with it when James was in the Mara. Oh, all kinds of things happening there, Viam.
Yeah, it broke for a second.
It broke for a second. Is it fixed now?
Yeah.
You got it. It's not easy fumbling under rain covers either. Okay, Viam, the ever handy Viam, has managed to sort it all out. And then we disconnected our IR lights for a while. And then did you make that panel, Viam? You make it yourself?
Well,
Sort of. Viam's now reassembled or assembled a panel of infrared lights so that we can enjoy moments like these. Next we just need to master thermal imaging and we'll be set. I wonder if this is what it's like to see... No, I suppose it's not. That's a silly thing to say. I was going to say to see like a leopard does in the dark. Dave and I had such a magical experience sitting in complete pitch blackness. And we were watching the Nkuhuma Pride and they all started to roar all around us. It was on one hand quite an instinctively disconcerting experience, even though I knew that we were absolutely fine. It was also really, truly special, especially when all of the cubs started joining in and roaring with them. We had some special moments during the week that James was in Mara. I know he did as well. Exciting things to come, everybody. I hope you're all as excited as we are. Looking at something. What have you seen, girl? I don't see anything. All seems quiet. You've got big as well, Madam. She's actually grown a lot. Now we can hear lots and lots of frogs around us. It sounds as though Taylor is on the hunt for some to show you.
We're always on the hunt for frogs. You're right about that, Jamie. We haven't found any frogs, well, ones that they're baby frogs. We're looking at some tadpoles swimming around at the moment. Now, I don't know about the rules of spotlighting tadpoles, so we won't do it for too long, but you can see that they're all still swimming around. And I don't know if they go to sleep either. I'm just trying to think, when we watched the tadpoles that James had, watching them grow, they sort of did settle down on the bottom of the water at night. They didn't do too much moving around. But I don't think that they go to sleep completely. But they're interesting, though. Well, no big frogs. I was hoping we were going to find a few sand frogs, maybe a foam nest frog lurking up on one of these bushes. But sadly, nothing in this little pan. They've still got a good time of growing, a good few weeks before they even get their legs. And I think that those tadpoles are from the bullfrogs, because if you remember, we'd seen them fighting about, and then they laid with their eggs. We also saw lots of their eggs. They are quite small, the ones we're looking at, so I suspect that they are the tadpoles from the bullfrogs, the African bullfrogs. But whether all of them will survive, I'm not sure. It's a hard, tough life for tadpoles, with lots of things trying to eat them all of the time. But they've got quite a bit of cover there. It was actually quite a nice spot. Oh, I just caught an insect with my eye. That's nice. Let me take it out. And now we have a squeak. Why are we squeaking, Wendy? No, we can't go anywhere. We are squeaking. I have an insect in my eye which I'm trying to remove. Yes, my eyelashes have not got it anymore. I don't know why we're squeaking. It's a very good question. Let me reverse. Let's see if reversing helps the squeakiness. We don't really squeak when we're in reverse, but we squeak when we go forward. That's no good. Okay, let's see if it goes out. It might just be a little bit of dust. I think it's stopped now. Yes. Yes, it's obviously not anything too serious. I think it's probably just a bit of dust or mud that's got stuck in something that's making it creak, maybe in between the brakes, and that's why it was making that noise. But we're all sorted now. Squeak's gone, bug is out of my eye. We can continue the search for anything that wants to reveal itself this afternoon. Now my eye is itchy. Oh my goodness. We'll have to put some eye drops in it in a moment. That's the only problem, is that when these little insects get squashed in your eye, is sometimes as a defense mechanism, as you know, a lot of them have just very small amounts of like a chemical defense of various things. And often when you get an insect in your eye, it's always itchy afterwards. Right, and we're searching for all sorts of goodies. Check this termite mound. Let's see if there's anything happening around here. Nope. No solifuge out trying to catch termites. You can see there. Nothing out and about. All the chimneys are closed up nice and tight. It seems as though the termites have retired on this chilly evening. I suppose it's not actually just a chilly evening. We've had a chilly couple of days. So it's probably been given them some time to prepare and close up all of their tunnels. But normally on nice warm nights, you can actually see them gathering at the entrance of the chimneys, and then they normally go out and search for food. But then that's when you see things like their solifuge out, checking all the little crevices to see if it can get its tasty snack. Termites are one of the solifuge's favorite things to munch on. And then you see lots of other things around here too. Remember the other night, just before the show ended, Brent had hyenas eating the alates that were being released from the mounds, but I think that is all done. But look at these big mushrooms. You can see that one down there, Craig? There are lots of them growing around. There's lots of them growing up near the termite mounds too. That one actually looks like it's been eaten. Somebody's taken a munch out of that. I wonder if it wasn't maybe a snail or something that was feeding there. It could be a number of different things. And this is also what the termites are growing. So often you see these explosions of fungi around the termite mounds, and that's these large fungus growing termites that are working hard and growing all of them. You typically see mushrooms coming out after a thunderstorm. And I did read something, and I don't know how true it is, and you know me, I'm no fungi expert, and I will not take a chance on eating a mushroom, but they say that the mushrooms that do come out and sprout out of the termite mounds are, especially those ones that almost are big and robust like that, they say that they're okay to eat, but I wouldn't take a chance. I think unless you are an expert in a specific area, not even just I don't think you can be a world expert, I probably wouldn't take a chance at all. Searching around here, there's, like I said, this wind unfortunately has been difficult for us this evening. There isn't much out and about. We're going to keep persevering on, and Jamie it doesn't sound like she's had too much luck with finding Hosana, but at least his sister is still around.
Indeed, Taylor. At least Xongile is still around for us to look at her, even if she has now tucked herself into an even tighter ball, giving us this amazing view into her inner ear. I'm completely with Taylor. I wouldn't want to eat any mushrooms out here. I just don't feel fully qualified enough to know for absolute certainty that they're not likely to kill me. Xongile is happily dozing, obviously, and probably is relatively self-evident. Fast asleep. And unless she shows signs in the next few minutes of popping her head up and getting up, I might leave her and go and see whether or not Karula's in the same place. Look at that. See the way that ear's moving? Even though she's asleep, his ears still somewhere subconsciously registering sounds around her, making sure that there's nothing creeping up on her, which of course in due course will save her life. She's also got a horrible fat tick behind her ear, I noticed. Mom will have to pull that off for you later, Xongile. Or perhaps ask Hosana nicely. It was just at the top there, Wiem. I saw it. I can't see it anymore. She's moved her ear position. Difficult when you don't have fingers and thumbs to get to all those hard-to-reach places. I mentioned hyenas, and I heard a hyena whooping not too far away from us. They do regularly like to walk this path, so I'm keeping a close eye out. Even though we don't have the spotlight on Xongile, I've got it in hand in case I need to check around us. And I'm going to just keep regularly doing that, just in case Hosana pops up. Now, Cole, you want to know whether or not leopards, and try and avoid the glow of my very illuminated jacket. Cole, you want to know whether or not the leopards will seek out shelter actively during the rain. Yes and no. They'll often actively hunt in the rain because it's good hunting weather, so they will do that. However, I have seen more than my fair share of very miserable looking cats, whether they be leopards, cheetah or lion, all tucked up as tightly as they can underneath the thickest bush they can find. Sometimes they will seek shelter if they're not feeling too hungry, then they will, but they can and do use this sort of weather to their advantage, and that goes for all of them. Obviously, necessity will take priority over comfort, but if they can, they'll try and tuck themselves away, find a nice comfy spot. And I imagine that Xongile now, if the heavens were to open and drench us all, she might perhaps decide to move somewhere a bit more sheltered. It might start to get very cold as well. She's already found herself a good place on the dam wall. I'm pretty sure the wind isn't getting her too much there. Who needs Oscars, Wiem, when we have our own stars? The Oscar for Best Supporting Actress most definitely goes to Xongile, who's been an absolute marvel over the last few months, developing that very special, very dignified, very self-assured character that she has. I am right, aren't I? It is the Oscars tonight. I'm not completely crazy. A valid point.
Even have a television.
Wiem says, I don't know, I don't even have a television. Good point. Rebecca, you might know this. It's the Oscars tonight, isn't it? Rebecca says she doesn't have a TV either. I'm pretty sure the Oscars is tonight.
You got a TV, Jamie. You should know.
Do you think I spend much time watching that TV? What do you think in that house? Especially during over the weekend with the rugby on. There we go. I'm back to normal. I can't actually look back there, otherwise my eyeballs might explode. I just had to wait for... Sorry, Rebecca, but there was no option there. Here we go. Let me not block Xongile here. Let me turn this way so I don't block her. I don't know. I think it's the Oscars. Oh, all right. Sorry, Rebecca. Can we do this? This is awkward. Google says that it is the Oscars tonight. And now Xongile is an interesting green colour, and we've gone through all the spectrums of the colours this afternoon. Mostly grey, and a little bit of green thrown in, and a bit of gold for the leopards. I can make one Oscars reference. I can't anymore. She's awake. I was about to say she's in La La Land. There we go. She's about to go back to La La Land. Hey, gorgeous. Very peaceful way to spend an evening. All right, Xongololo. I think you seem to be determined to spend your evening napping. It has been a busy day. You spent most of your morning playing for Tristan, and now you've had Brent to keep you entertained. I imagine you could do with some sleep. Anna says she is so beautiful. I agree, Anna. Even when she's green in color, she's still gorgeous. Such a striking little leopard. You can't help but wonder when you spend as much time as we do, and I'm sure you all feel the same. You can't help but let your mind wander to what's going to happen to Xongile. How big is she going to get? Where is she going to end up? What's she going to get up to? There's an impossible question to answer, Alice. Alice, you want to know why Karula has had such great success with cubs? Why has she had such wonderful little ones? Okay, little girl. Hello, Bubba. Not such a Bubba anymore. You'd probably find that patronizing if you understood what I was saying. Alice, I don't know the answer to that. I think there must be a certain degree of skill that she has. Just like some people are naturally talented at certain things, I guess it's entirely possible that certain personalities of leopards are better at some things than others. Some specialize in hunting certain types of animals. Others specialize in falling out of trees, Hosana. And I guess some are just really good at mothering. I don't know what it is that's made Karula's track record so unbelievably successful. Oh, big yawn. My, what big teeth you have, Xongile. She looks like she's wide awake now. I'll just check and see if she's heard something that I haven't. Don't see anything. What's there? Hey, girl. She is beautiful, but she does every now and again have such a lost expression on her face. Hello, girlie. Hey, sweetheart. It's okay. Oh. Okay. Right in front of the vehicle. What you doing, you silly girl? Well, here we stay, ladies and gentlemen, until Madame Xongile decides to move, because if I start the vehicle now, she's going to jump out of her skin. That little tail. Shh. Oops, sorry. She really is the most confiding leopard I have ever encountered. I'm going to sit patiently here, for Xongile has removed all other options. Let's go and find out where Taylor is.
You can't see anything at the moment, but you might be able to listen and hear the impala moving around. And you can sort of just see them. But it's very light. Not very light, it's very dark, because I've had to switch off all of my lights because these animals aren't, well, the greatest friends with the spotlight, so we shall leave them in peace. Good night, guys. And I wish you could see what they're doing. I'll just keep driving for the moment, but they're basically all grooming each other. It's actually really sweet. Little ones all up, standing next to mom, giving little nibbles, combing their funny looking teeth through the hair. Getting all ticks and things are out and about, though I think Brent managed to collect most of the ticks out here, so the impala should be happy about that. Maybe not the oxpeckers, because he's now stolen their food. But they've all come out onto quarantine. Oh, okay, I'll get to that question now. But all those impala and that one wildebeest have come out onto quarantine just so that they can see a bit better. It's very overcast this evening. Now, Tony, speaking of those parasites that love to suck the blood from the various mammals, is that you were asking if all tick species bury their heads in their prey. Sure. Well, every time I've ever had to pull a tick off of my own body and off of my dog's, it's always been an absolute nightmare. Let's go the scenic way around, and we can put the lights back on now. It's always been a nightmare because the species of ticks that I've seemed to have removed from them all seem to bury their heads, so you've got to do it nice and gently and make sure that the head doesn't get stuck behind. So either smothering them in and what do you call it again? What do we call it? The petroleum jelly. Vaseline is the word that I would use, but petroleum jelly you could use as well. So you do that, or you could burn them if you're brave enough. If it's a big enough tick, a lighter works very well, or a match. That normally makes them let go, and then you can remove them safely. So I would say I'm fairly confident saying most of them do, because I can't imagine if they don't that they'd have a very good grip. Though pepper ticks are so tiny, whether they're able to do that, I'm not uncertain, because pepper ticks are actually quite easy to get off of you, but the problem is trying to spot them because they blend in. Well, in my case, they blend into my freckles, and then I can't tell what is what. So that's probably the hardest part, but you can sort of scrape those ticks off and they come off in one go. And I'd love to actually have a look at a pepper tick under a microscope. That would be, I think, quite nice to see what they actually look up close, because the other ticks are so big you can see their mouth parts, and you've seen how beautiful the bont tick, the one that's got the sort of the blues and yellows on it, how lovely they look under the microscope. But a pepper tick that is the size of a pinhead, well, that would be interesting to see. They're so soft bodies, so they're not as robust. But yeah, that's actually quite interesting, and that's what I'm thoroughly enjoying most about Safari Live, is the different types of questions that you get asked. Because I suppose as you start watching the show for years and years, you want to know more, where the typical questions that we're normally asked as guides. We were actually chatting about this today, how great it is that we are able to go into so much more detail out here about animal behavior. Is most of the time it's sort of just very brief answers, and you can go into a bit of detail, but everybody's also on holiday and just wanting to have a bit of fun and a good laugh and watch the animals do exciting things. So that's really cool. So it's really nice that we're able to go a bit more in depth. So keep sending in those questions. See, like this is a different mushroom. Let me see if I can find it, and I think I might be mistaken, but I'm going to give it a bash. I think I know which one this is. But don't take my word on it, because I don't want anybody to eat one. Is that a bit too close? Oh no, you can see it there. You see that one? It's quite pretty, isn't it? Now this looks like an ink cap. Or not an ink cap, a death cap mushroom. They normally also grow near termite mounds. They sort of look like this, but you could have a look and maybe pop it into the interweb and have a look. Actually, I might have something in my book, but to try and find it, oh wow. Okay, I'm going to have a look for the pictures of the fungi in my book, but go across Xongile's hunting.
Well, Xongile's moved out from underneath our bonnet, and she's gone down to the water's edge, and she's hunting something, or something's attracted her attention under this fallen buffalo thorn, this dead fallen buffalo thorn. So she's right at the water's edge, and there's something cheeping, sort of going cheep, cheep underneath it. And I don't know, I think it might be a baby bird that's tucked away under there somewhere, although I haven't heard any alarm calls from the parents. So possibly not. It might also be a frog. Look there. Oh, that's just glinting off the water. I thought that was a frog for a second. We did see eyes earlier that I'm convinced would all the frogs gathered together. Look, you can see she's fascinated. She doesn't really want to get her feet wet. She doesn't really want to venture into the water. Sensible decision. There's no crocodile in this waterhole. We know that for relative certain. But it's sensible for her to avoid it. Okay. Lost interest, girl. No point getting wet feet. I think she's going to catch a frog. I think she wants to. Lots of alarm calling from the frogs. Well, That's not quite, I mean contact calling between them all. Hey little girl, where to next on your adventures? I'm just going to check behind me to see if her brother's popped out, in the vain hope that her brother's popped out. He doesn't seem to have. Wow, Vim, that is an impressive infrared light. Amazing. It's now pretty much pitch black. I can't see her with my own eyes, but we can see her clear as day on the screen. Full of curiosity, stopping to sniff and investigate every smell. That seems as good a place as any to plonk oneself down for a bit. Tail twitching. You don't want to eat a frog, Xongile. It won't be a very satisfying or delicious meal at all. Oh, hold on. How amazing is that? She's calling. She must have heard her mum. Karula must have gone all the way around us and to the south. Let's go catch up. Where is she? There she is. Okay. I'll switch off my vehicle so that she can hear Mom if she... I'm going to switch the light off as well. You can just sit without the spotlight. Let's see if she continues to call. Just want to make sure that she can hear Mom's response. It is quite a windy night. Bless you! Oh, that was the cutest sneeze ever. Don't worry, Xongi. I've had allergies too recently. She might just be looking for Mum, and not realize that Mum left her behind. Alright, I'm going to stick with her, but let's go over to Taylor, who got interrupted in the middle of a tale.
I hope that Xongile does meet up with Karula. So I had a very quick look in my book at the different fungus, and I don't have that one in it, but I'm pretty certain it was like a death cap or something along those lines. So I see that there are a variety of wood cap mushrooms. I'll have to have a look. I'll read it. I've got a note on it in my other notebook. I don't have it with me, so I'll just have to reread that note again. Sometimes we forget then all this information that we try and store in our heads. But that one I'm not remembering. But we're no luck with chameleons. It's a little bit sad, and I'm also a bit sad that we didn't have any luck with Kuchava on Cheetah Plains. Oh my goodness, Xongile is calling. Let's go across to her.
I have to tell you, I don't think Xongile realized that Karula had left at all. I think she thought she was still here. And now she's gone off searching for Mum. She's bored. She's decided she's had enough alone time. And now Mum's not here. Mum's left her all alone. Hosana's gone for a walk. I think it's too windy for you to be able to hear those contact calls. I'm actually going to let her go off into the darkness. I'm not going to follow her. I don't think it is appropriate with her in this hyena-heavy area, walking in the dark with the wind blowing, calling. I don't think we'll follow her any further. We'll say goodbye to Xongi for tonight, unless she comes back to us. Let's just wait and see. We can still stretch it a little bit. I'm not going to follow her off-road at night. All right, sweetheart. Your mum will come back. Don't worry. She always does. And now we're going to switch back to regular light. There we go. Are we back to regular light? Yes, we are. There we are. William says he just couldn't find the button. I was going to say I don't remember being that green before. Shame, that was so sweet. But we're not going to follow her. It just doesn't... We'll just leave her to go about her evening business and not get separated from the rest of them. Oh dear, poor Taylor hasn't even finished her story yet. And just quickly, the siblings won't really call to each other, no. They might call at each other, but I've never seen them calling specifically to each other, only to their mother. But perhaps they were calling to each other and I thought they were calling to their mother. Who knows? Let us go across to poor Taylor, who just keeps getting interrupted.
No, I feel like that was the end of my story. That is me finished about my story about the fungi. So no, I literally got the last words in just before Xongile started calling. Now I've got nothing to talk to all of you about, so we're just going to sit in silence now for the next... No, I'm just teasing, of course we're not. There's a couple of Inyala walking on the road, and I need to turn all these lights off because I don't want to blind them. And, sorry, I missed the comms there, Rebecca. Sorry, it was very intermittent. Jane Ward, speaking about those lovely fungi that we were looking at earlier, we've seen a couple this evening. We were wondering if tortoises eat mushrooms. They do indeed. Speaks hinged tortoises will eat mushrooms, and so will the leopard tortoises. But something else that's quite interesting is both those tortoises are predominantly vegetarian, except the speaks hinged. They will eat millipedes as well. And I've seen this, and it is actually quite gruesome. Oh my goodness, right, Jamie's having all the fun. I think that's it for me tonight. Let's go across to Jamie, who has a hyena.
I'm so sorry, Taylor. Everything just keeps happening. It's not my intention. So there's a hyena, obviously, that has just arrived at Treehouse Dam, making me feel tremendously good about our decision to leave Xongi. And I'm not going to move until it's moved past her. Here it goes. Right, I don't think it's going to go in the direction she went in. Sorry, I'm going to have to... VM can actually show you, I think, better than I can. Come on, hyena, pop out there. Don't have gone the other way. Okay. Alright, obviously we're not going to follow. We're going to keep silent in our vehicle. Is that it there? I can't see it. No. Alright. Well, this is a mystery that shall have to play out tomorrow. Well, we'll have to unravel tomorrow as to what exactly occurs. However, it is a time for us to say our farewells. We might do it in a funny colour every now and again. It has been wonderful having you on board. Don't stress too much about Xongile. She knows what's going on. She'll be absolutely fine. What have we got now? Oh, you're joking. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to VM. Thank you to Rebecca and Megan in Final Control. It's been marvellous having you on board. We'll catch you tomorrow for the sunrise safari. Where'd he go?